All right. So, quick recap from our last session. We started in Isengard, um, where you learned a few more things. Saruman is your new patron, by the way. And I don't know if you guys have recorded what his patron abilities are. I can throw that up for you guys. Where did it go? I think you guys are going to miss that the extra 2 fellowship points plus the extra rerolls, but
Something about a charisma roll or something like that, a deception roll or something.
yeah, there we go. I'm going to just let me cut and paste that. The Discord. There we go. No, it's pretty small. Let me see if I can increase that size. There we go. There we go. That's a bit bigger. Use that one. Okay. So with Saruman as your patron, you have 5 fellowship points now, 1 per party member. I don't know if any of you have the talent or feature or ability to give you a couple of extra fellowship points. I think that was Marigold that had that. All right, so you have 5 fellowship points. And your additional advantage is the Voice of Wisdom. You can spend a fellowship point to obtain a magical success on a charisma and a deception, intimidation, or persuasion check. And that is your advantage now. So he revealed to Moonstalker his heritage and what he calls your birthright to reclaim a sword reforged by one of your ancestors, dating back as far back as the Second Age, perhaps even the first, I think. It's a very powerful weapon, and a weapon that was used to destroy the first dragon, which could come in handy because you've heard rumors that there is the shade of that dragon is now up and about, awakened for some reason. Saruman did not seem any wiser for the fact that one of you is carrying a ring of power. Didn't really grill you guys too much about that at all. But sent you on your way to Tol Morwen, the island of the mother, where an ancient hero is said to be buried alongside with his mother, who grieved for him, where that sword is believed to have last been placed. It's in the opposite corner of Eriador, only reachable by boat. So he has asked you to travel to Londare, meet with a sailor, a fisherman, a contact of his who apparently knows how to get to this island, knows of this island and how to get there. His name again is Egre, Eagre. And so that was your contact that he had asked you to meet up with and get passage to this island. You had rejected and the possibility of Orla accompanying you. Close the chapter on that drama, I suppose. Eucaliel, you're still alive. No more blood debt bounty on your head. So that's a good thing. What else? You arrived too late in Londair to rendezvous with Gandalf. Gandalf had apparently gone over the Misty Mountains and was investigating something on the eastern slopes or beyond. You're not quite sure what he's up to, but he did tell the new queen of Londair, her name being Queen Nimue, Nimue, who received her in her hall, and through her seer, verified the visions that some of you have been having about a dark hill in the far north, filled with dread and fear. They're not quite sure what this hill is about, but they know it is of the enemy, and they know it's not a good omen. What else did you guys find? Oh, Turk, you met your father, who is now apparently a knight in service to Queen Nimue here, and he has asked to have a word with you at a local tavern in West Haven, which is the new community sprung up on the shores of the Grey Flood amongst the ruins of Londair. I think that was most of it. Did I miss anything? Zurich, you did discover that Londair does have trade with Harmelt, the dwarven stronghold that you were originally from. Although as of late, trade with the dwarves has dwindled, and no caravan has arrived from there for quite some time. And people are feeling that now, as many of the goods and treasures that they relied upon from the dwarves, even simple things like pots, tools, things that dwarf metalsmiths and stonemasons were excelled at, are falling into disrepair in this town, simply because there are no craftsmen to maintain them, and they relied heavily on the dwarves to provide that service for them. So Zurich, if you want work, I have no problem
Yeah, I was gonna
finding
say if there's any
yes.
stone repointing, I could settle here for a while.
Yeah. All right. So that's, I think, the gist of things. You guys are in the fall months now. Things are getting cooler, even this far south in the Shire. Although there are the temperate winds and the weather effect from being this close to the sea, there is the occasional chill of a north wind that blows down across the plains into Londair, and you can feel that. The skies are turning gray, and yeah, winter is just around the corner. There are stones around from mined from. There is a quarry actually in Bree as well.
In West Haven?
In West Haven, what they have used, any stone that they've used in this town, whether it be to construct the Queen's Hall or structures or chimneys within town, they've reclaimed from the stones used to build Londair. There's no real mining or quarry operations here. They're just repurposing the stones that were there from before. Very similar to what Tharbat was doing. All right. So, you had just left. Actually, you were actually staying at the Queen's Hall I believe, not in West Haven. So the Queen's Hall is actually the hall proper, the large building you see there. There is a tower there, which they consider an observatory used by the seer to watch the passing of the stars and to make predictions and whatnot. And there are a number of homes and even a small farmstead within the walls of this protected area, which is effectively just kind of a raised plateau surrounded by an earthen mound topped with sharp stones. That's their defense. Knights of Queen Nimue. I mean, you've met one. Uh, they're not really knights, maybe more so than you could call anyone a knight in the Shire, but they're poorly equipped, poorly trained. They're knights in name only, really. If you were to compare them against the Knights of Rohan or Gondor, they're peasants still, basically playing grown ups. But their loyalty to the Queen is unquestionable. They would lay down their lives for her. There's no doubt of that. And that's a general sentiment throughout the town, or at least what you've seen so far. You guys haven't really spent any time in West Haven, which is closer to the banks of the Grey Flood, and you can see across the expanse of the river more ruins of Londair, including some spires and whatnot. But you hear rumblings from even the servants and whatnot who pass through the hallways of the Queen's Hall that they try and stay away from those ruins. They believe they are haunted. They don't like things where ghosts and memories live. They'd rather just get on with living here, fishing, farming, trying to get by. So you were given quarters in the Queen's Hall. You would have to share them. It's not huge. It's not a huge palace. It's basically just a refurbished church. Is really what this or cathedral is what this place looks like. So, there was the need for you guys to rest. I think some of you have exhaustion from the journey to here. I think actually, Torgon, I think you had exhaustion.
I have one level of exhaustion. Yeah.
So you will need a long rest to relieve that. But in the meantime, you did have a visit from Falmir, Turk's father, who has asked you to meet him down in West Haven at a tavern there. I forget the name of it.
Purported to be my father.
Yes. But other than that, you are welcome guests of the Queen. You're free to come and go as you wish.
I think the Queen said that she wanted to have a conversation with me later, but I guess that's like the next day or something.
You also found out that Gandalf is the court wizard, Queen Nimue, who apparently slew a sea monster whose head is now mounted in the throne room, suspended by massive chains. So, how would you like to spend your evening?
Personally, I'm intrigued by the ruins across the river. I don't know about anybody else.
I wanted to go pester the seer at the observatory because I feel like they shooed him out of there before he gave us like
too much information.
Yeah.
Of course, I would like to go down to the pub if Palmer shows up.
Yeah, I mean,
Is there a bridge across the river, or do they have to take boats?
Yeah, take boats. There's no bridge.
So
I guess the nearest bridge would be further up at
Tharbad.
Tharbad, thank you.
Tharbad doesn't even have the bridge. Their bridges have collapsed. They use boats too.
But if we only have time for like the one thing, then we should probably just go to the tavern, unless Turk wants to go by himself.
Oh yeah, no. I'll be safe there. I'll be safe there. Maybe Zerk would like to come, or Zerk maybe wants to cross the river, or
No, Zerk would like to join the tavern. And if I remember correctly, Turk's purported father was kind of a warrior type, right?
Yep, he was one of the knights.
Yeah, so that intrigues Zurich. Hey, see how tough this hobbit really is.
Challenge him to one-on-one combat?
Or at least an arm wrestle.
Actually, that would be yes. I was thinking of a drinking contest myself.
Oh, that's a quick question. Have we, in character, decided our travel plans for the future of the fact that we're going to be trying to, like, winter in the Grey Havens? We have? Okay.
No, you have not.
Oh, we have
finalized.
not.
I think
Okay.
the last decision was to stay in Greyhaven over winter, or at least port there.
All right, we have to meet with Egray, and then I want to see what his boat looks like. The Queen offered us her best boat to take us north, so we'll look at his boat and then make a decision how we're going to. But that, I would say, that would be tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah.
Did we go
I
find
was just
Egray?
curious because if in character we had decided that we were going to be like wintering there, I was going to try to send a message back to home to be like, hey, if you want to hang out with me over winter, I'm going to be in the Grey Havens.
I mean, yeah, we'd already decided we want to go to the Grey Havens for the winter. I mean, that way we're close to the island when the spring thaw comes, instead of having to go all the way from here up to there. We think because we thought we could make it to the Grey Havens before winter sets in, but
I think
that's probably the farthest we can go to a safe port.
I thought we were going to go up on the next best boat. I remember that from the last session.
The next best boat?
Yes.
Why would we take the
next best boat? That was the name of the tavern.
Oh, okay.
Take the best boat we can take.
I think it was called the next best ship or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if everybody wants to head to the tavern, I don't mind going. If we're splitting up, then I want to go to the Sears Tower.
Go to the Sears Tower, by all means. I think that would be helpful to the party.
Yeah, and Eucaliel's not going to do that much useful things in a tavern anyway.
What time? What exactly time of day? You said it was getting to be later, but what time roughly? How many hours of light do we got left?
By the time you arrive here, probably mid-afternoon. A receipt was received by the Queen by, let's say, 4 or 5. It's still early evening.
Okay, I'll wait till tomorrow and go check out the ruins. See if we can get this Egray guy to take us across. Maybe if you guys want to go.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued because it's a Numenorian rune, so
true.
My past, my history. So, and who knows if I'll ever be in this part of the world again.
Just for clarification, so we can go across and scout things out over there and then come back to the pub? Is that what you mean? Or are we going 3 different ways?
No. Tomorrow we'll go.
Oh, tomorrow.
Anybody, it's too late. It's going to be dark.
Yeah.
That's why.
You don't want to go there at nighttime.
That's when the fun happens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I guess that. Does anyone want to go with me to the Sears Tower? You don't have to. I'm just
sure. I'll accompany you, so you're not by yourself.
Okay.
The Sears Tower.
Sears Tower.
Yeah, the Sears Tower.
Exactly. This is going to be the future home of Chicago. All right. So, Eucaliel and Moonstalker, you make your way to the Sears Tower. At the base of it, there is a large arched doorway. Do you knock, or do you just walk in? How do you want to go in?
So it's a doorway, not a door, or
It is a door. There is a door.
Okay. Then I'll knock. I'll be polite.
There's a moment before you hear footsteps coming down some stone stairways. You hear a latch being drawn back and the door kind of creak open a bit. The door has swollen a little bit due to the damp sea air that kind of permeates this place. And you see Eglane's face. The seer kind of pokes his head out, and upon seeing Moonstalker, he bows deeply immediately and throws the door open.
It's a good thing I got my sucker with me.
The air, grace me with your presence. What may I do for you? How may I serve you?
My friend would like to speak with you. Answer her questions, and that would be plenty.
And I will bow and just say, I felt like there was
Of course.
more that you wanted to say to us. Sorry. So I just thought that we could come here to hear more of what you've seen.
I have seen many things. Please come in. The night air is quite chilly, and my constitution is not what it used to be. So it ushers you inside, and inside this tower is dark and damp. There's a musty smell to this place. Not terribly healthy feeling, and I mean, it's kind of reflective of this individual, the way he looks. He's kind of tall, lanky, but he's skin and bone, effectively. And he grabs a torch off the wall and kind of smokes and sputters. And he leads you up a set of stone steps up to the floor, which looks to be some sort of study. There are tables and books about charts and star charts and whatnot, maps. And he says, "Oh, yeah, excuse me for the chaos. I typically don't entertain guests." And he starts to clear space for you guys to sit, and finds a couple of chairs that you can sit on. Not quite sure how they are, but he cuts them out in the middle of the floor for you.
I'll stand. I don't want to risk breaking one of his chairs. For 300 pounds, they probably couldn't hold me.
Elves are notoriously light, so I will sit down carefully in a chair and just say, it's fine. This reminds me of my own study back home. Not completely saying the truth. It's not actually that messy, but I'm being kind.
I think Andrew's got some lag going on.
Experiencing a little bit of lag. There we go. I got you now. Okay,
Your facial movements indicated it on the screen.
Yeah, I was lagging like crazy for a second there. I think it was music starting or something. Of course. The visions. You must understand. I am honored that I would have an elf lady of Imlathers and royalty descendant from the great men who once ruled these lands. The heir to an artifact so great. It is beyond comprehension. I'm a little starstruck. I'm sorry. But he looks. I have no wine. I should be.
I'll put my
I'm
hand
so
on his
ill-prepared.
shoulder. It's fine. Just don't treat me any different than you would anyone else. I just found out this information about the sword myself, so this is new for me as well. Just continue on, just like I'm a normal person. Okay? You don't need to fuss over me.
May I see your weapon?
Me? You speaking
Yes,
to me?
my lord. Yes.
Which weapon are you wanting to see?
Your sword.
I'll draw my sword and put it hilt first towards him.
He takes it gently, and you can tell he's struggling with the weight of it. And he kind of turns and puts it on the table so he doesn't have to hold it. And he just kind of runs his finger up and down your blade, and he turns to you suddenly and says, I saw you. And he points to you. I saw you. And he points to his head. I saw you. I saw you. I see you. And he gets this far distant gaze that he's zoned out someplace. He's somewhere else now. I see you. I see you standing on a shore, holding a blade. Black veins run through it. The sea threatens to swallow you. And then he shakes his head, takes a step back from your sword, and you can see he leans up against the wall to steady himself as he holds his head in his hand. I am a seer of the Queen. I have served her faithfully. But the visions that I receive now, I do not call them forward. They simply come to me. And since your arrival here, they have been a constant presence in my mind, and it is difficult for me now to distinguish what is real and what is but a vision. And I apologize for my odd behavior, my lord. And he bows to you again.
So there's nothing to apologize for. The gods are speaking to you.
The Queen, she is a kind soul, a brave soul, a just Queen. We love her dearly. And I fear she's quite protective. And protective of you, her guests, as well. For some of the things that I have seen are not all good. They would send a chill down a grown man's spine and freeze his blood cold.
But if it's something that we need to be forewarned about, then you should share it with us.
Yes. I have seen you. And he looks back at you, Moonstalker. You have been walking through the vision of my mind for the last 2 moons. When I walk by the sea, I hear your voice coming to me from the waves. And then I see you standing there on the surf, on the shore of a lonely island, with this great sword in your hand, the one run through with veins of black.
Is
And
there a malevolent sense to this? A dangerous sense?
And every time I see you standing on that shore, I see the shadows blow in from the sea, darker than night, thicker than any fog known to man, and it swallows you whole, and you are lost. He looks at you and says, "Heed my warning, air. Do not take the sea, or it will take you."
Hmm.
We have to take the sea to recover the sword. It is on an island.
Perhaps he means don't travel north by sea, travel by land. But that will take us much longer.
There's one last vision I have had of you. You are standing in a frozen wasteland before a great dark hill, rising like a wave about to crash down upon you. There are howling spirits whirling about the hill, things of such terror.
Did you see anyone with him in that vision?
My visions have only been about the air.
I was just curious because I've seen something similar, but he was not alone.
Do you have the sight too? Of course you do.
I think she doesn't correct him. She just kind of sighs, realizes she can't explain herself, and just moves on from there.
I am but a simple man, gifted no, nay, cursed with these visions that I do not understand. They fill my nights and dreams, and I am but a frail vessel for them.
Well, hopefully we can accomplish our goal and give you some peace from the visions.
Would there be such a thing?
It
Asleep.
was once before, wasn't it?
Those days I cannot recall. It's been so long to sleep without dreaming.
I do that most days, but I do understand that that is not typical.
There is a place near the Grey Havens, the 3 towers built by Gil-galad. within one is a palantir, from which it is said one can receive visions of things happening throughout the world and things yet to come. Perhaps you can gain more insight there, more than this humble servant can offer you.
Yes, if we make our way there, I'm sure we can give that a try. Palantir are very powerful artifacts.
They are. They are indeed. But
So you say you can't summon visions, they only come to you, correct?
they only come to me.
And how do you normally only receive them when you're sleeping, or like what you just did with the sword? Is that also a way that you receive visions?
I have no control as to how or when these visions overwhelm me. I will often get them during the day. I lose all memory as to what happens. Sometimes I'll find myself walking along the banks of the Grey Flood, not knowing how I got there. And often fishermen have found and brought me back.
And you haven't always had visions of the air. In the past, you've had visions of other people, correct?
That is correct.
Hmm. I think I'll probably reach out my hand and just like go into like clasped hands with him. And if he accepts it, I'll just say, let's just see if you see anything.
Right. As he takes your hand, he immediately takes a knee. You hear some bones creaking and cracking as
No.
he does that. And he like puts his forehead onto your hand. Just, oh, you bless me, my lady.
Of course. The blessings of Imladris are always upon you. You can tell that like Eucaliel's not used to this. He's just like, how do we do this?
But yeah, he just kneels there,
Mhm.
head to your hand, not looking up. But he doesn't say anything about a vision.
Well, after a moment, I will retrieve my hand.
Okay.
And I'll just say, um, I hear that this tower is a bit of an observatory, a good place to see the sky and stars above. Um, could you show us the view? I'm assuming it's getting close to nighttime.
Yes, of course. It is a spectacular view. You can see for miles up and down. You can see the shore. You can see almost on a clear day. You could almost see Tharbad. Um, and you can see he's struggling to get back to his feet.
I will help him up.
All right. Yeah, you hear some more cracks of bones, and he lets out a groan as he gets to his feet. So, oh, the days are getting long for me. And he, forgiving my lady, and he tries to steady himself without your help, and he just takes a few tentative steps towards another staircase leading up.
If it's too much for you, we can just go up the stairs ourselves and you can
No, no, not at all. I will. No, please let me have the honor of escorting you. And you can see he's like shambling up the stairs one step at a time.
Mhm.
It's going to take you a little while to get
Yeah.
to the roof.
I'll have, like, my hands out ready to, like, catch him in case he stumbles.
All right. But by the time you get there, you can as you get close and close, you can feel a draft coming down from
Mhm.
an opening. You can smell the salt air, and it's quite invigorating. It's cool. It's got a tanginess to it. You can smell seawater and fish, and you can hear the occasional voices and sounds of the town below. When you emerge on the roof of the tower, it's quite large. You see there are a number of what look to be uh, telescope-like devices, like
Mhm.
scopes and whatnot, and a few more charts and maps and whatnot, kind of weighed down by stones, so they don't fly away. And by the time you reach it, this is just probably past sundown, so
Mhm.
it's dusk, and
Yeah.
there's still a
The
bit of
sunset is kind of fading.
exactly. So there's like kind of like a dusty orange kind of skyline on the far west horizon, and you can see as you get to the roof, and the wind kind of catches his his hair and his face. He just kind of closes his eyes, and for a moment, he looks happy.
Mhm.
Um,
I think I will
and
also, like, take a breath for a moment, and then I will just kind of, like, sigh, and, I had to look it up to make sure I knew what the name was. I will say my mother's name, and Union, um, and then just kind of, like, open my eyes again and just say, "Whenever I see the sunset, it reminds me of her."
oh, such a beautiful sentiment. And from here, the view is quite commanding. uh, it's clearly obviously not as tall as Isengard, but from here you can see the great sea to your south that the Grey Flood kind of empties into. You see a number of fishing vessels, small fishing boats, various sizes, kind of dotting the mouth of the river. You see the lights of Westhaven below, and the sounds of people getting on with their lives down there. You can see the ruins of Londair on the other side. Go ahead and make a perception check for me, both of you.
Nice.
And I was gonna say I'm just gonna take a good look at Londare. Well, that's see what I can see.
Perception. Kinda lousy. There we
22.
go.
All right. Perhaps, Eucalio, the thought of your mother
Yeah,
is
I'm
kind of
distracted by
distracting.
the sky.
But Moonstalker, since your gaze is mainly drawn to the ruins of Londair, as you look down on it, you can see that the outline, the skeleton of this city is still vast, immense, and quite impressive. You can only imagine what the city looked like at its height. Glorious, probably to rival Numenor itself. Yeah, it was likely a sight to behold. It was the great city of the north in the Second Age. But as you're looking through these ruins, you swear you see movement on the far shore. At this distance, it's hard to see what it is, but it just with a dirty 22, it looks like it's just like almost shadows moving between the ruins.
I must say, do you mind if I borrow one of your telescopes for a moment?
Of course.
And I'm all position the telescope to see where I thought I saw movement at and see if I can see anything better with it.
All right. Having seen that movement, you pick up one of these scopes and you scan the area. What you see it's not what you might have expected. What do you think Moonstalker would have expected to see?
Animals.
Animals? They're certainly not animals. They carry the shape and size of men, but they are not men. What you are seeing looks like you are seeing are ghosts, wights, roaming the ruins of Londare.
Okay, then. I guess we won't go check it out tomorrow.
At least not at nighttime.
And I'll ask Eglin, say, have you ever seen anything in the ruins before?
No. No, my gaze is often sent above to the heavens. No, there's nothing but death in those ruins. Of course, I mean no offense by that. I understand you are the heir, and this is simply part of your kingdom that once was, but it is not what your ancestors had. Now it is now filled with memories, ghosts. It is not a place for men anymore.
Do I see any place that looks intact close to the shore or fairly intact? Any buildings?
No, there's nothing intact.
Okay.
Everything is like broken in one. There's nothing. And you can imagine over the centuries, there were likely those robbers who are brave or foolish enough to venture in there looking for treasures of old. That it's probably been picked over many times over.
Okay. All right. I'll just give Eucaliel a look of almost despair.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll place his scope back.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking up north towards Tharbad along the Grey Flood, you do see a number of smaller fishing vessels and even small communities lining the banks on the way. Tharbad is a little out of sight at this time of day, but if you turn around and look eastward, you can see in the distant horizon the peaks of the Misty Mountains, the white caps of the rugged peaks catching the last dying rays of light. Going almost like a fiery red before all the light disappears from the sky.
I think I will I will look to the northeast, knowing that I won't be able to see. Elven eyes are good, they're not that good. I will look in the direction of the Eladris. um, and ask Aglayan, do any of the people here have messenger birds or anything of that nature that can go long distances?
But to whom would we send messages? We are alone here.
This is true.
Perhaps once the heir sits upon the throne once more, those days will change and the kingdom will come under his rule once more.
Trying to think. As the bird flies, what would be the time distance back to Rivendell? Probably several weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want to send Fandil, so maybe I ask him to find someone else again. Um, yeah, I will. If Fandil isn't on my shoulder right now, I will whistle for him. Like if he didn't want to go inside, I will whistle for him to come and like land on my hand or something. Um, and I will just say, "Have you rested enough, or do you need more rest? I wanted to send you on another task."
He flaps his wings, ready to go.
All right. Um, so I'll take out my calligraphy set real quick. And quickly write in the dim light because I can see perfectly fine anyways. I will write a quick note to my father saying that my journeys may take me to winter at the Grey Havens, but that is not the end of my quest. If he would like to visit with me there. Because I don't want him to think like, oh yeah, she's just gonna meet me there, then we'll leave. I'm like, no, no, no. And then I will, roll up the notes, and I won't tie it to Fandel because he needs to be able to give it to someone else. So I will just like I'm sure because I've done this before. I'm sure that there's like a little, like the little wooden capsule thing, and then I give that to him to hold, and I just say, try to find a bird or someone who is willing to um, carry this message home back to Imladris.
He takes the little capsule in his beak and dances around a little bit, flaps a bit, as if he's stretching his wings for a long flight,
Mhm.
and then looks up, looks back at you, and you realize you can't fly in the dark.
Mm. Okay. I will go to take the capsule back, give him some dried berries, and say, "We'll start this in the morning."
Caca.
And then I
Um,
turn to look back at Eglan because he's been seeing me speaking bird speech this whole time.
he's just in awe. He is completely in awe. He's never been in the presence of an elf lady or heir to the throne,
Mhm.
Kingdom of Arnor. So I'm going to switch
Sure.
to Turk and Zurich, who make their way down to West Haven. In a tavern by the name of the Next Best Ship. So, when you get down there, what time did you want to go? Like early evening or?
Turk turns to Zerk, says, "Are you feeling peckish?"
Sure.
All right. So you make it down there for, let's say, around 6 o'clock, the dinner hour. You can see the fishermen coming in to shore with their catches of the day, trying to clean their nets, do all their stuff. Some of them are a little ahead of the game, and they're making their way to the taverns, and the places are starting to fill up. Along one of the larger wharfs is a larger fishing vessel, and you see a man dressed quite well. Obviously not a fisherman, but likely a merchant of some kind, kind of instructing other individuals to load or unload things. You can tell he has a little a quill and a piece of parchment. He seems to be taking some sort of inventory, making sure all the goods are arriving or being loaded or unloaded properly. The only reason I point him out to you is because he stands out, because he's different than everyone. Everyone else here is pretty much salt of the sea fishermen and women equally. And he's just not like that. He kind of sticks out. But you find the tavern easy enough. And you walk in, and it's quite boisterous already. You can see a number of tables already filled. People are well into their drink and their meals already. You see seated alone by the fireplace, not at a table, but in a chair, Falmir.
Come on, Zerk. I'll get the first round. So
Zerk will follow Turk.
I'll go up to the, well, such as the bar is, I suppose, and order from the tavern master 2 pints. Not those small pints for hobbits. 2 human pints.
We have no pints for hobbits here. Yeah, little master. Oh.
Let me change my order. Make it 3.
3 pints it is. He pours out 3 pints of ale, pass it over the counter to you. Hold on 1 second. I'm just trying. What are your perceptions? Passive perceptions. Yeah.
13.
I think mine's 14. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you grab the 3 mugs of ale. Where do you take them?
And do you have any pipes and pipeweed?
Well, certainly do, but it's quite pricey. It's especially this time of year. The harvest hasn't come in yet, so. Wait. You're one of them small folk from up north, aren't you?
Aye. Both of us?
Do you happen to have any? I'd be more than willing to take some off your hands if you have any extra.
Just for travel purposes. Although my cousin may have, will talk to you at some other point. She's from a farming family of pipe weeders.
Oh, is that so now?
It is?
Yes. Please, please. Tell her to come and speak to me at her earliest convenience. I'd be very interested in hearing possible opportunity for trade.
And what do I owe you for the pints?
Oh, it's on me. I understand you are guests of the Queen. Guests of the Queen drink free here.
Well, I promised my good friend here that I was going to get the first round, though, so...
I insist. And
So,
by this point in time, you notice that Falmir has noticed you guys, and he's looking over at you, and you catch each other's glance, and he just kind of raises his mug and waves you over. He's got a mug in one hand, and he's got a pipe in the other.
Zerd, what do you say?
Turk shrugs his shoulder, motions to let's go.
Okay, so I'll hand a mug over to Zerk.
Zerk grabs it and follows you.
Make our way over to Falmer and hand a mug over to Falmer.
Falmir hardly takes your mug and invites you to sit at a couple of chairs for you. you can see he's a little choked up. And he says, I'm so happy. I'm so happy, Tarok, that you chose to accept my invitation. Are any of your friends beyond Master Dwarf here going to join us tonight?
I can't say what their plans are, but we're here for a pipe and a pint. And I think we're going to be, we'll be eating as well.
Of course. Oh, I do miss Elevensies. It's been quite some time. Please tell me any news of the Shire.
Well, Bilbo is doing fine. Did you know Bilbo?
Of course, everybody knows Bilbo. Rascal?
I think he's doing quite fine. Certainly going to be celebrating birthdays for many, many years to come. The pipeweed harvests are fine, but for some reason, there's never enough around. We haven't figured out what's going on about that.
Oh, there's never enough. And he kind of looks mournfully at his own pipe. Says, I haven't had good pipe weed in so long. I can't recall. I don't know what this stuff is anymore that I'm smoking now. You wouldn't happen to have some old Toby or long bottom leaf on you now, would you?
I'm actually looking at my inventory right now. I know I do. Oh, well, what should I call you? Falmir? Master Falmir?
Pauses at that and says, until we have a chance to get to know one another a little better, perhaps Falmir would be best.
Well, it's very dear to me, but I'll pull out 3 pinches of pipeweed, 1 for each of us.
He holds his hand out as if like he's receiving like communion or something, and he's holding it reverently in his hand. And oh my! And he kind of crumples it up and empties, taps out his old stuff that he was smoking, and immediately puts it in, packs it in there, and lights it up, and takes a few long draws, and you can just see serenity almost kind of come over him as he just, this takes me back.
Well, perhaps Master Zurk has some news from Bree. That's where he's from. Well, not originally, of course, but you know.
Oh, I spent some time in Bree myself. How does Bree fare?
Fine.
Fine indeed. Yes, well, I don't wish to impose upon your time any more than I must. Thank you once more for meeting me here. The Queen has been very generous to me. But this is of a personal nature, and I wanted to have that discussion outside the palace, if you understand. And you notice he's not wearing his chainmail now. He's just kind of wearing normal clothes. Still nicer than most other people. He's clearly not a fisherman, and everyone knows who Falmir is in town. He's the only hobbit in town. Or until you arrived. But he says, It's a wonder, isn't it?
What's a wonder?
That you're here, sitting across from me. We're smoking pipeweed together, drinking ale. I dared not dream of such a moment in all my life. But here we are.
So you're going to have to, pardon me, but not having grown up with a father, this is obviously kind of on this strange side. You may have thought of this, but this thought has never entered my mind. How did you know Daisy Lynn? Besides, in the biblical sense.
We were courting proper and all. But her father, your grandfather, didn't quite take a shine to me. And so when I asked for her hand in marriage, so we could make things proper, he refused to give us his blessing. But by that time, she was already pregnant with you. I did what I could to support her, but her family was adamant that I'd not be involved. It was difficult for me, not only because I could not be with your mother, but also because I could not be involved in your life. And I was a pariah, and in the community, I couldn't find work. I knew that's why I went to Bree, to find work that I could send money back to support your mother. I honestly don't know if any of that money found its way to her. But it was the best I could do to raise you from afar when I could not be there with you. And when things in Bree became a little too complicated for me to stay there, I came south. I had nowhere else to go. I stayed in Tharbad for a little bit, but that place is a den of evil. And the hobbit folk there are cruel. Not like the Shire folk.
Hobbits do what hobbits have. Is my mic working? Hobbits do what hobbits have to do to survive, I suppose.
I suppose, but in all my life, even though your mother's family and I didn't see eye to eye, there was still reasoning behind their decision, one that I could understand. But the hobbit folk in Tharbad, they would have easily just slit your throat for any coin that you might be carrying, then wish you good morning. But so I came further south, even more, and found this place. I tried to ply my way as a fisherman, but hobbits and boats are not a good mix. So I ended up being a fishmonger for a little while. I did what I could, odd jobs here and there, until Queen Nimue did what nobody else could: slew the monster that plagued the seas and Londair and the fisher folk of the south. And I knew right then and there when I saw her, that her heart was pure. She was good to the people, and I pledged my allegiance and life to her and became her first knight. If she would have me.
So you have martial training now?
Well, he kind of laughs at that and says, martial in the sense that I have been given a sword and armor to go with it, but since Queen Nimue has taken the throne, there has been very little need for such things. We're too far south for the orc raiders from the Misty Mountains to bother us too much, and occasionally we'll have raiders from the tree men out east, but the dwarves have helped us deal with those folks and to keep our trade routes clear. So, although I bear the title of knight and wear all its trappings and bearings, I'm still a simple hobbit from the Shire.
So at his mention of dwarf folk, I'll turn to Zerk and say, do you know anything about these dwarf folk that he speaks of? Relatives of yours?
Zerk will ignore Turk's question and look at Falmer. So why does your queen keep you around?
She keeps those around who I honestly don't know. She has a kind heart. She only sees the good in people, does not ask of their troubles or their past. And I stay because I want to. More than the fact that I have nowhere else to go.
Well, you wear your armor well. And if you have half the courage as the one sitting next to me, that would make sense.
He smiles at that and looks at you, Tur, and says, "Oh, is that so? I would love to hear some of your tales."
How about after another pint? Mine's dry.
Of course. This one is on me, if you don't mind. And he gets up to get you guys another round.
So he's gone.
Mhm.
I can speak to Zurich. Do you believe a word he says?
He's given us no reason not to.
I don't know. I've seen this type before.
What do you mean?
Love him and leave him type. Actually, can I roll a perception just to see if I
What are you trying to perception? I think insight would be better.
insight whether his story is jiving, because
Sure.
Whether the money came down, whether I remember as a child hearing about stories about money arriving. Of course, that's not in my written backstory. So, insight. Oop, got to go over to the other.
As far as you can tell, he hasn't said anything that doesn't make sense to you. He seems quite sincere. And as you guys are sitting there pondering as to whether or not Falmir is for real or not, you see a woman wearing like a typical Celtic knotted sweater, fisherman's sweater, scarf around her neck, and holding onto a big stick that looks more like a cudgel. She kind of opens the door and says, "I need some help. There's a boy drowning in the river." And when she says that, a number of fishermen get up immediately and run to the door.
I have no idea whether these ones can swim, but I'll definitely look at Zurich and say, I know how to swim. I guess I better go.
Is it a human woman at the door?
Yes.
Actually, how many respond? Enough respond that there should be a good.
About half a dozen immediately get up to help.
Well, I think maybe I'll just sit.
Zurich will sees Turk sort of start to get up, and then pause, and I'll pat Turk on the shoulder, and then calmly walk out the door. As the 6 fishermen rush out the door, Zurich will walk behind them to make his way to the door to see what's going on outside. But I'll pat Turk on the shoulder as if to say, "Sit back down and talk more with Falmir. I'll see what's going on."
Okay.
All right. So Zurich, you follow the fishermen out, and you can see a commotion by the docks already as a number of fishermen are launching their small skiffs and boats. And you can see at this time it's quite dark now, and people they're hanging their lanterns on their boats. And you see a number of other lanterns kind of drifting out, like almost a small little fleet of fireflies drifting out over the water towards the center of the river. And you can hear the woman calling out to them, "The current has caught him. If we don't act quickly, he'll be swept out to sea. Hurry now!" And she helps some fishermen load up ropes and nets into their boats to try and catch the kid.
Yeah, I'll more observe, right? If 6 fishermen can't save a single kid in a river, then I'll be skeptical. But
By this
I'll
time,
observe.
it's about 20 fishermen now, going out there as quickly as they can. And you wait there and you watch as
Yeah.
the lights kind of these fishermen's boats kind of recede into the darkness, and they become so small they're almost out at sea now. And it seems like forever before they start to return to the docks. And when they do, the first boat that lands, you see a burly fisherman hand off this child, like a child, maybe you can't really tell in this darkness, but a young child, to the woman fisherman, who drops her staff to take the child in his arms. And you can clearly see at this point that there is an arrow piercing this child. And she rushes back towards the tavern.
I will nonchalantly get back to the tavern. Follow her back to the tavern.
All right. I'm going to switch back to Eucalio and Moonstalker.
Mm-hmm.
It is now fully dark. You've sat there to watch the sunset go down. It was beautiful. And at this time, as the sun has disappeared below the horizon and it's dark completely now, you see this fleet of boats and their little lanterns kind of pushing out from the shore into the middle of the river. And you know, but that's kind of odd. Fishermen don't typically go out at night.
Yeah.
This time.
Maybe train one of the telescopes on it. See if we can see better what's going on.
All right. Have you guys make perception checks for me, please. Straight roll. It would be disadvantaged because of the dim light, but because they have scopes, it'll be advantage. So it cancels each other out.
What about me? Because I don't get disadvantage from dim light on perception checks.
So it'll be advantage for you.
Okay.
Yep, I don't notice anything.
Does dim
20.
light mean nighttime?
Pretty much, yeah. All right, so Eucalio, you can clearly see what's going on. You watch the commotion going on down there. With 3023, you see Zurich kind of standing on nearby, not quite by the docks, but there on the street. Strikes a pretty obvious figure. Not too many dwarves in town. There are
Yeah.
a number, but you recognize Zurich. You see the boats coming back, and you see they're carrying a child, and you can clearly see what looks to be an arrow sticking out of the child.
Then when I see that, I will turn back to the seer and just say, it looks like there is an injured child down there. I think we need to get down there and see what help I can offer.
Of course, my lady. Is there anything I can do to assist? I am not a healer, unfortunately.
No, you can stay here. And I will quickly turn around and like rapidly go down the stairs and back out of the building because I figure like if he comes with us, it's gonna take forever.
Okay.
I'll say thank you for your hospitality. May Elendil's blessing be upon you, and I'll head down the stairs with her.
As you say that, he bows as deeply as he can without falling over, and you can see him struggling to get back up. But yeah, you guys are gone. You make your way out of the Queen's Hall and rush down the road to West Haven. It seems as though a crowd has gathered inside the tavern with Zurich and Turk and Falmir. A child has been placed on a table, and you see the woman taking charge of the situation, telling the others to stand back and say, "Get a healer. We need a healer." The boy seems to have lost a lot of blood. You can see the boy is pale. It looks like the arrow has kind of pierced the back of his left leg.
Yeah, if we're arriving, then I will kind of start trying to push through the crowd and just like even probably around the same time as she's saying we need a healer, I'm saying like I'm a healer, get out of the way.
When you say that, she orders the other fisherman to clear the way for the healer, and she ushers you forward.
Mm-hmm. And I quickly rush over and get my healing stuff ready to help this kid out.
All right, so go ahead and make your roll.
Okay,
This kid
so
is on death's door.
you said he is or isn't?
Is on death's door.
He's on death's door. Okay. I am going to use Leechcraft. So let me just refresh my memory on Leechcraft.
Do I choose the big leech or the little leech?
I have multiple different ways of healing, and Leechcraft, I believe, is the one that heals the best, but I can only do it 2 times a long rest. So I have to be very judicious about it.
Well, you haven't taken a long rest yet. You're gonna have it tonight.
Yes, I currently I currently have both of my craft slots. I've been careful. Let's see.
While she's working on the child, I want to look at the arrow. I'm not going to go touch it or anything. What type of arrow is it?
What I was
Man,
thinking.
orc, elf.
Make a survival check for me, please. Is there survival in here? No, it's hunting.
Sure.
What would be hunting or old lore or hunting or old lore?
For me, I'm going to look at it and wonder if it looks like the arrows that came out of Orla.
12.
12. All right.
You can go ahead and give your explanation, and then I'll do my stuff.
Okay. I'm waiting for Turk to roll.
Oh, now what would I roll then?
Hunting or old lore?
And if Zara can get in a role, I'm sort of observing the group dynamics, how this small town reacts to adversity, how they're reacting to this particular incident, just sort of the how this clan works in times of crisis.
Make an insight check for me, please.
You see, I'm too short. I can't get through the people to see what's going on. So,
all right. So I'll explain the hunting checks first. Yeah, Turk. There's the crowd's too thick. You can't see anything. Moonstalker, given your massive stature, you can easily like push your way through and get a clear view. It is clearly not an orcish arrow. It is quite well crafted, in fact. Not quite like it's not definitely not elvish make either. But it's not crude. It is well crafted. The insight check from Zurich. A couple of things you notice. One is the obvious thing is this community is rallying as best they can to save this child. The woman in charge, she seems to have authority here. There are some people that are just kind of like talking shit about her behind her back, like, well, why is she in charge, kind of thing, right? You see, in all this commotion, it's drawn a lot of attention along the wharf and the docks. So a lot of people have kind of come in, just drawn in to see what's going on, including that merchant individual that you saw earlier on the docks, the well-dressed man. He just kind of sneaks in, trying to be as subtle as he can, just kind of walking in and observing to see what's going on.
All right.
Okay, and as for mine, I'm also going to use Rhymes of Lore. So I'm just kind of like murmuring some poetry on the healing arts while I'm handling this. So that's going to give me a d6 to my roll. So let me do my medicine check. And it's going to be, okay, let's add the d6. D6. And then roll that. Oof.
9.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I can re-roll the d6 if I want to. I think I will. Because it's you re-roll and you choose which to take. So there's no point not re-rolling. Okay.
Gosh.
9. All right. Well, let me reread this because I think that is, you know what? That is technically a failed attempt at Leechcraft because I have to get at least the DC 10. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, because I've used so much, but I really don't want this kid to go. I'm going to use a use of my elven skill to turn my failure into, hang on, let me double check something because I don't want to say that I can do something that I actually can't. That lets you add your proficiency bonus. I can't use elven skill to fix a failure. So that wastes my use of Leechcraft. But I'm still going to try I also have a healer's kit.
So, like, that takes some time, I guess, but I can still use a healer's kit to stabilize the child
Okay.
because I'm proficient in it. So I can just.
So describe to me what it looks like when Eucaliel is working on this boy, but is unable to use her leechcraft to save him.
Yeah. So probably what's happening is because Leechcraft is actually fairly new for Eucaliel. She hasn't been practicing Leechcraft for very long. She only started practicing it after she left Rivendell. So there's a lot of like fumbling leeches and they fall onto the floor and she's just like, well, I can't use that one. And like there's a huge audience watching her and she's getting a little bit of stage fright, but she does, she decides to fall back on what she knows, which is when she just abandons the leeches and herbal poultices and stuff and pulls out the healer's kit and actually does stuff like, let's take the arrow out and wrap this thing up or something to stabilize the child.
Go ahead and make that medicine check then.
Okay. Now let me double check. Do I get advantage when using healer's kit?
Oh, is there a local healer that could actually sort of contribute to your?
Well, I don't know if they're here yet.
No one in the tavern right now is speaking up.
They're all watching the elf perform.
Yeah.
She's an elf. Elvish healing. I mean, how can you compete?
She's got the rhymes, man.
Let me double check something.
Yeah, I'm looking.
As an action, you can expend one use of the kit to stabilize a creature that has 0 hit points without needing to make a medicine check. Is that where we're at right now?
That's where you're at right now.
Okay, then I will use a use of my healer's kit to do that. And I will deduct that from the uses that I have.
Okay. I'm going to have you make a medicine check. And it is something different, though.
Okay.
For something different.
Okay. Medicine. Check. 13.
All right.
Why couldn't that be my roll for my leechcraft?
So this kid is like 0 hit points on death's door. You try with your leeches, drop your leeches on the floor. Oh, that's not going to work. You pull out your medicine, your medical medicine kit. You do your best to stabilize this child. You pull the arrow, you apply pressure, but when you pull the arrow out, you notice something that there's a fair amount of internal bleeding and whatnot, the bruising from the arrow itself, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But there is an unnatural blackness spreading from the wound, and you know that it has been poisoned. And regardless of your medical skills, this child is going to die.
Gotcha. I don't think I know very much about poisons. Yeah, I will still kind of like wrap up the wound, and then does it seem like the woman was the child's mom?
No.
Okay. But she is the one who's like taking charge and probably standing the closest to me right now.
Correct.
Okay.
And as you're working on him, I'll say like the father comes rushing into the tavern and he's yelling, "Carp! Carp, where's my boy, Carp?" And he's trying to push his way through the crowd. And he sees his young boy, this boy is about 10 years old, lying on the table with you working on him. And he grabs his other hand as you're working on his legs. He's looking at him, trying to brushing the hair out of his eyes, feeling it. You can see the cold sweat already breaking on the kid's face, totally pale. And you know this child is not going to live.
Yeah.
I turn to the woman who seems to be taking charge, um, and say, "Could you could you please get the others could you clear the room? Could you get the others to go outside?"
Of course, of course. You heard the lady. Out, everyone out, clear the room, give her some space, give her some privacy. And you hear a number of men kind of grumble at that, but they all comply. They
Mhm.
back off and move away,
And
except
if
the
the
father.
yeah, if the father made to leave, I would stop him.
Yeah.
But once the room is clear, I will kind of turn to him and lean in and just say, "I'm sorry, the child is poisoned, and I don't believe that I am able to save him before the poison will kill him."
No, no, my son. Who would do this to a boy? You must save him. You, you're an elf. Elves are the
I
best
have
healers in the
tried
realm.
my best. I
Try
don't
harder.
know what this poison is.
No. And you can see the father collapse to his knees, uh, and you can see the life slip from the boy.
Yep. I will say a few words in Quenya, like a prayer of sorts. Um, and then I will, if the rest of the party is still here, I will kind of like turn to them and just be like, let's give the man some space. And I think I will take the arrow with me,
Okay.
holding it carefully
Woman.
so as not to touch any of the poison that might remain on the tip of the arrow.
All right. The woman that was kind of being in charge here, she kind of rests a hand on your shoulder and says, thank you kindly for your efforts. There's
I'm
not
truly
much we could
sorry
have
that
done for the poor boy.
I couldn't save
No,
him.
don't blame yourself. No, Missy, it's a shame, rightful shame that is. Kept muttering on about something as I brought him in here.
What was he saying?
Something about a black ship.
Is
I
that Have you ever seen a black ship before?
No, no, no. Waste of good paint that would be. No, fisherfolk don't have to paint their boats. No,
Why would you not want to see a boat in the water? Unless you were up to no good.
no. But you're a guest of the queen. Perhaps you can carry this message on to her.
Of course.
If this is a threat to our village, then she should know of it.
Do you know where was the boy lost? Like, where might he have seen this black ship?
I don't know. I had simply saw him in the river floating as I was making my way to the tavern, and that's when I called for help. I don't know where it came from.
Thank you. I'm sure his father will need some help with taking care of the boy.
Yes. Thank you again for your help.
Of course.
And you can see as she walks out, she has a heavy limp. You can see that's probably why she needs that heavy staff.
Yeah.
To get around. But she leaves. Oh, and she turns around and says, "By the way, my name is Enfys. If you ever need a hand for anything, a vessel, place to stay, just ask for Enfys."
Of course. I don't remember. Who was the name of the person that we were supposed to talk to?
Egre.
Okay, gotcha. It was close, but not quite. All right. I will regroup with everyone else and hold out the arrow and just say, be careful with the arrow tip. It was poisoned. And that's probably when the people who figured out what kind of arrow it was can impart that information, because I was busy.
Actually, since she's actually got the arrow out, I'll take it in hand and examine it more closely to see if I can determine anything I couldn't tell from just looking at it from across the room or whatever.
Go ahead and make an investigation check.
And if I can, in my memory, compare it to the Dunlending arrow.
I was gonna say, can I assist? Because I can do that, but I mean, yeah.
I'll assist Moonstalker.
Yeah, I rolled a 1.
Oh,
assist will give you a reroll. That's why I was saying.
Yeah, go ahead and roll.
Okay.
Roll again if you want.
Well, I'm not really the person for an investigation check, but
it's fine. There you go.
18.
18. The strange thing is with this arrow, Moonstalker, is that it's not too dissimilar from the kinds of arrows you carry in terms of style. It is not a ranger's arrow that you know of anyway. Perhaps something similar, though. But it does remind you of Dunedain stats.
Construction styles.
Mm-hmm.
Does it appear to be old?
No.
I was thinking that too. I was like, do the ghosts have real arrows?
Was the boy brought back to the same tavern that we were sitting in earlier?
Yes.
Zurich looks around to see where Falmir's at.
Falmir is still there. He was kind of watching in horror at this, at all this unfold.
Did he attempt to help in any way? Was he acting knightly, or was he a passive bystander during all of this commotion?
He was more passive than anything. But he did say once the arrow was pulled out and the child was declared dead, and he did hear news of a black ship. He puts his mug down and says, "I am sorry, but I must report this to the Queen immediately."
Of course.
Do I know about the Corsairs?
Do you know about the Corsairs?
Yeah.
You might have heard about them, but you've never seen one. You don't know much about them.
Okay. I was just curious because that would be my thought if I knew about them, but never mind.
He turns to you, Turk, as he leaves and says, "I do hope we can do this again. If you plan on staying in Londres for some time longer, I would love to spend more time with you."
My compatriots suffering from some exhaustion, so we will be here. But you must, before you go, I know you need to report this. What is this about black ships?
I do not know. I do not know. There have been. He casts a quick look around the room to see who might be around to hear this. He talks in a hushed voice to you and says, "There have been rumors that Corsairs have been roaming the coast, but they've never been a threat to us, and I don't see why they would be. In fact, we do have the odd trade ships coming in and out of Londair from Umbar, so we have no quarrel with them. But this is dangerous news indeed. And the Queen will not take it lightly that a child of her kingdom has been slain in such a manner.
Yes, I will see you again before we leave. Quick question. Where's the woman? Oh, Enfys?
Enfys, oh, she left.
So I'll let Falmer go, and hopefully not too long. If I get outside, can I see where she's gone?
Yeah, she's not too far. She's talking to some fisher folk.
So I'll just sort of, from down below, sort of tap her and say, you were the first to come into the tavern with the news that the child was in the river. Did you see what happened?
This is Enfys. And she says, no, I saw, my old eyes are failing me, but I did see what looked to be someone in the river, and especially at this time of night, and the water getting cold in this season, and the current. I knew that whoever it was would be gone soon if nothing was done. I am not the best rower, so that's why I rushed in to get help.
Was when you saw the child for the first time, how far offshore were they?
Oh, perhaps maybe 100 feet or so, middle of the river.
So the child would have been in a boat.
Perhaps. I don't know how the child would have been upstream from here unless they were in a boat.
And one would think that the child would have been in the father's boat or a relative's.
The currents of the Grey Flood at the estuary are quite unpredictable and quite strong. You could easily get swept away simply by standing knee deep in the waters offshore. It's not It could be that the child just fell in.
And got swept out 100 feet?
It depends on how further upstream he was.
Insight checker. If you're questioning, insight checker.
I'm going to insight check her.
I saw that look, and I'm like, there are rules for this.
I keep forgetting the reality of the game and the reality. Oh, and I did not make that. I don't think.
She looks at you and says, I would be careful, little master. The fisher folk in this town are superstitious. They do not like outsiders, and they do not like change. And the fact that this child washed ashore in such a state upon your arrival, it is not a good omen for you.
Omen?
We haven't even told you guys that they told us don't take the water.
Be safe, my friend.
And may the wind be behind your sails, at your back.
Thank you. And she turns away from you and continues the conversation with the other fisher folk.
The old Newfoundland. Long may your big jib draw.
Yep.
All right, Zurich, you looked like you were going to say something earlier.
Yeah, was I within earshot when Falmir was talking with Turk, saying he needed to go report to the Queen?
Yep.
I'll motion to Falmir and say, and find out who the boy was with. If he was the target of that arrow, that would be bad. If he wasn't, we need to find out who was.
I certainly do. Thank you. Be safe and return. I would advise that you return to the Queen's Hall soon. before until things settle down in West Haven.
Yeah, I'm gonna head back that way.
Can we have a fellowship scrum?
Yeah, once we get back to our rooms.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
When you get back to the Queen's Hall, it looks like there is a bit of um, a banquet, so to speak, happening in her throne room. Nothing major, just a small one for the Queen and some of her magistrates. And you guys, as you guys return and then enter the building, the I don't know this. I forget what his name is. The custodian, whoever's in charge here,
Mhm.
says,
Steward?
Steward, thank you.
Mhm.
Says, you are more than welcome to dine with the Queen tonight. It was her understanding that you'd gone to West Haven. But since you are returned early, then please. Valmir has already returned and is in attendance.
I don't mind dining with her because I did want to talk to her anyways, but are we okay with postponing our group meeting until after dining with her?
Could we have talked on the way up there, just briefly, just to
Yeah, you
say?
guys have. It's about a 15-minute walk, 10-15-minute
Okay.
walk.
I mean, it's maybe just completely obvious, but the child saw something, and
Definitely. He was speaking of a black ship, and I don't necessarily. They spoke of corsairs, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to me from what they were saying that corsairs are necessarily that black ships are their common mode of transportation. So maybe that it's not even them. So this is an unknown thing. And I think I'll probably also share at that moment when we were speaking to the seer today. He told us that his visions predicted that we should absolutely not travel by water uh, up north for our goal, or the sea would swallow us, or not necessarily us, particularly Moonstalker. He seemed to only be seeing things related to Moonstalker, so
oh, so the rest of us are okay then?
possibly.
Okay.
But our quest is for something for Moonstalker, so I think that he should survive and
Yes.
arrive there safely.
A coincidence, perhaps.
So it is very interesting that after having that conversation, we return and hear things about black ships and bad omens of people, dying in the water, etc.
He said shadows from the sea.
Yes, he did say
That could
shadows
be a
coming from
black
the
ship.
sea.
But still, who shoots a boy with a poison arrow?
Exactly.
A
And
coward.
it hit the boy in the leg. I
Yeah.
agree. I don't think that he was either he was running, maybe he wasn't, but if he was in the water, he couldn't have been running. So
Was the arrow in the back of the leg, like shot from behind or shot from the front?
Shot from behind.
yeah,
Yeah.
that says running child or something like somebody wants to stop them from moving or something, or it just they weren't even the target and happened to be struck. But
So
perhaps in the daylight we check the sides of the river.
yes, and you know who the father is, so you should probably talk with the father. Yeah.
Yes. Although I do not think that he wants to talk to me.
You did everything you could. It's not your fault. I mean, yes, I understand.
This is true, but
I mean, you
my
didn't put the arrow
understanding
there.
is that the non-elven folk take death very harshly.
Well,
So I
speaking of
understand.
non-elven folk, yes.
So I understand his distress.
We'll just blame it on the Rangers. They've already got a bad rap, so.
We have a ranger with us, though, so I don't think that's going to help our circumstances. And also, I would never spread bad rumors about the Rangers. They do a lot of good.
So you reach the Queen's Hall. You're invited to join the Queen for dinner. Do you accept?
I will.
As a hobbit, most definitely.
Food?
See,
Yeah.
Falner is already there. And you're ushered in, and chairs are brought to you, and a table is brought out, and more plates are placed in front of you. And as this is being done, you notice that there is a performance of sorts happening at this time. There is a solitary female singer in a red velvet, not velvet, sorry, a silk almost, dress with kind of gold embroidery. Beautiful, beautiful dress. Black hair, dark eyes, and she's singing a ballad at the time you arrive. And I'm not going to sing it to you because that would be horrible. I'll read it to you. In days of yore, when Arnor stood, a kingdom proud in northern wood, 3 realms it held in might and grace, with Anuminas their royal place. The scepter bright of silver wrought, a symbol of the kings they sought. But shadows grew as evil spread, rang from Angmar's halls the realm of dread. Oh, seek ye knights the scepter true, and foremost reign neath skies so blue, where kings of old did rise and fall to find the treasure. Answer the call. The which king came with darkened might to challenge Arnor in the night. The battles fierce on plains did roar as blood of kings and commoners pour. But still they stood, those northern lands, with valiant hearts and gleaming swords. The scepter shone in royal hand, a beacon crossed the shadowed land. Yet doom befell the northern kings, as Angmar's curse did spread its wings. Fornost fell, and Arnor's pride was swept away like autumn's tide. But still in halls of stone and dust, the scepter lies, a sacred trust. In Fornost's depths, where echoes ring, it waits the hand of a worthy king. Now in the lands beyond Breeze Way, the ancient kings in slumber lay, their scepter lost, yet power untold. To those who dare, to those who are bold, a quest awaits for those who yearn to find the scepter, to return. The chief of treasures, shining bright, to claim the north, restore its light. And I'll share this with you. You notice as well when she said, in Fornost's depths where echoes ring, it waits the hand of a worthy king. She was looking straight at you, Moonstalker.
Can I make an old lore check on this ballad / tale to see if I have any additional information on it?
Sure.
Can Zark do the
I
same?
shared. Yep, I shared the ballad in your handouts, so you should see it
Cool.
there. It should be at the bottom.
So if 14 is a success, it's a magical success because I'm trained in it.
All right. So, Zurich, I'll tell you first with a 16. All of the places in the history that were told about in this ballad are legit. These are all the three kingdoms of Arnor after it had split up. It basically Arnor fell because of the battle with the Witch King of Angmar. But you don't recall any story of a scepter.
Alright.
Kaliel, with your magical success, you have heard of Anuminas, the scepter that belonged to the kings of the north of Arnor. It was a scepter that symbolized their power and their control over the realm. As far as you knew, though, although it was a sacred object, you haven't heard really a lot of stories of it being like a weapon or anything that could smite the enemy.
Yeah, nothing other than a symbol of power rather than like something that has some sort of magical effect.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
out of character, it's not in character. I mean, Elrond's got the scepter. He just never gave it to Aragorn until he reunited the realm. I mean, I'm not sure any of us would necessarily know that.
No, none of you would know that.
Yeah, Eucaliel would be the only one who might know, but there would be no reason why she would be talking to Elrond about Anuminas. Like, what would that? Why would that even come up in conversation?
So as this singer finishes her ballad, she gives a deep bow to the queen. There's a smattering of applause from the audience, including the queen. And as she leaves, she casts one last glance at you, Moonstalker, before exiting the chamber.
Just the whole world knows who I am now.
And we
News
haven't
travels
seen her
fast in
before,
small town.
right?
No, you have not.
Okay.
I have a picture of her here too, if you want. This is
Sure.
her name is Alice.
Gotcha.
Is she local?
Yeah, I was gonna say, does she look like she's from a different area than the people here?
You would generally say that she comes from someplace in the south. That could be anywhere south of Gondor.
Gotcha. So, quite a ways out of her way.
I will excuse myself from the table and step outside.
Follow her.
All right. Do you want to follow her?
I want to catch up to her.
All right. She doesn't seem to be in a rush, and when she hears that there are footsteps following her, she pauses. She turns around and gives you a deep bow. My lord, may I help you?
Do I know you?
I do not think so.
Why did it seem you were directing your poem towards me?
You are the heir, are you not? I'm sorry if I'm mistaken. I did not mean to overstep.
I did not realize it was such common knowledge about my ancestry.
News travels fast in small towns such as this, especially when strangers arrive.
Well, obviously you're not from this town. From where do you hail?
I hail from a land far south from here. But I call West Haven my home now.
And what land is that?
I fear you might not have heard of it. Few people barely do know.
Humor me.
I come from Umbar.
Do I know Umbar?
You probably would have heard the name. It's a pretty major port city south of Gondor.
Okay. Would I know the fact that they're allied against Gondor in the north?
I'm going to have you roll an old lore there. It's because this isn't really your area of expertise.
Yeah. I just wonder what I've heard and hadn't heard.
Yeah, you probably heard that. You probably haven't heard a lot of good things of Umbar. But the news you get is kind of mixed, and you don't know what's fact and fiction.
Gotcha. I've heard of Umbar. Do not know much of it. Tell me about your land, homeland.
You honor me, but I do not wish to take any more of my lord's time. I have a family to attend to.
Very well. I'll bow and stand there and just watch for a few minutes as she walks off.
She does a short curtsy to you and turns and leaves.
All right, and I'll head back to the hall.
All right, back in the hall, you can see Queen Nimue has received news of the child's death from Falmer, who sits to one side of her. And she has concern and kind of frown on her face. She addresses you, Eucaliel, and says, I understand you were instrumental in trying to save the young boy's life.
Yes, I'm sorry that I wasn't successful.
I am still heartened to know that you were there and assisted in what way you could. From what I understand, there was not much we could do for the boy, regardless.
There was poison on the arrow that struck him, and even though the wound itself would not have been that difficult to deal with, the poison was definitely what sped him on his way.
You can see her clench her fists, and you won't even need an insight roll to know that she is like seething. She is angry.
Mm-hmm.
And she says almost through gritted teeth, we shall find the horrible murderer behind this vile deed and bring him to justice.
We were thinking of checking along the shore of the river in the morning when light is better to see if we could find any signs of where this might have happened, because everything doesn't add up.
I thank you for your offer of assistance. If matters were not so grave, I would decline your offer, though, as guests in my house. But given the way things are, I am glad for your offer and accept it willingly.
Of course.
She looks down at her plate. You notice that she hasn't eaten a bite, and says, I'm sorry, I do not seem to have much of an appetite tonight. If you'll excuse me, I shall retire to my quarters.
Of course. We can speak tomorrow.
She gets up, and as she gets up, the entire room stands up.
Mm-hmm.
They all bow as she leaves the room.
And we finish our meal. Michalio's like, well, I wasn't going to eat any of this anyway, but I guess I'll eat now.
Does Zurich like fish?
Sure. He'll eat just about anything.
Yeah. I mean, this is, despite the fact that this is the Queen's Hall, the food is pretty simple fare.
Yeah.
So if you guys retreat to your room that night, you guys can all get your long rest in.
Mm-hmm.
Moonstalker, you can recover from your exhaustion.
I suppose
And-
I should say, just as a reminder,
Okay.
that I do have the ring back. It is in my possession now. So, in case
Fine, my own.
has any effect.
My precious. Okay, so as morning comes, there is a drizzle, light rain that kind of coats the landscape, and along with a light fog or mist, and it kind of echoes the mood within the hall and West Haven beyond, as people are waking up to the fact that a young boy was murdered the previous night by an assailant unknown to them.
Assassinated.
There is also whispers of a black ship and what that could mean.
Yep.
So
I think the
as
first
you
thing. Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the first thing I do in the morning is I send Fando out to do the task that I was attempting to send him to do the night before.
All right, he's gone.
And now I want to take a look around or ask around. Do they have any horses here in town?
There are a few horses, yes, but there are not that many.
Probably going to be expensive.
Maybe just a horse for hire.
Yeah, but when are we going to bring the horse back? That's the thing. Is just like you can't run a horse because they're not going to expect that you're going to bring it back.
Hey, he's a ranger. He's a upstanding, trustworthy fellow.
I didn't mean for the purpose you guys are thinking of. I wanted to go scout the river south.
Sure.
Well, as you guys are gathering, you guys are invited to breakfast. I don't know if you guys would have woken up before then at the crack of dawn to get out, or
Michalio would definitely have woken at the crack of dawn.
That's normal
Turks.
for Turgon.
Turk's up for breakfast.
Yeah.
all right. So you guys are up before breakfast is ready, and you expected to be the first ones up. However, when you get down to the main hall, you see it's already a hive of activity, and leading it is Falmir. You see a number of knights gathered, including the young woman who escorted you to the Queen's Hall
Dame
just the day
something.
before. What's her name again?
I just remember her first name was Dame.
Dame Eshel. Yes,
Yeah.
Dame Eshel. And it looks like they're gearing up. And when he sees you guys arrive, he says, will you be joining us? We'll be searching along the east bank of the Grey Flood this morning.
Absolutely. That was part of our plan, I believe.
Zurich nods.
Very good, then. You still have time to grab a quick breakfast if you like. But we'll be leaving within the hour.
I'll head back upstairs and put my armor on and get my gear.
Okay.
I will eat a quick breakfast.
All right. So you guys grab your gear, have a quick bite, and outside of the Queen's Hall is Falmir and 6 knights. This is a large contingent of knights. She's got maybe a dozen already. Haldane, her other knight, you got Falmir on one side and Haldane the giant on the other. Haldane is going to stay at the Queen's Hall to protect the Queen. So he asks you, this will be a full day's march. We're going to be scouring the East Bank for any signs. There will be a small contingent that will go out and search the West Bank north of the ruins. Which side would you prefer to help with?
I think this would be a perfect opportunity for Moonstalker to get close to those ruins.
Yeah. I'll go with the. Well, actually, shouldn't this be the East Bank? Or the West Bank, I mean?
No, you're on the east side right now.
On the map, it does show Londair as being on the east side, though, on the player map.
It actually straddles both sides.
Gotcha.
What side was the boy on when he was last seen?
Well, Falmir will tell you, there's no way the boy would have been on the west side.
Yeah.
Then I shall start on the east side.
Yeah, I think most of us should be on the east side, but if there is someone checking the west side, I guess, I don't know, do we split?
Somebody should at least we should go in as partners.
Yeah, I'll go with Moonstalker because, like, if we do wander over to the ruins, I missed the last cool ancient place. I want to get to this one.
I love me ruins as well.
So I will go with Moonstalker.
On the west shore?
Yes.
Okay. So, oops. Falmir will instruct you to go down to the docks. They've enlisted the help of a couple of local fishermen, Enfys being one of them, to help in a search. So when you and Moonstalker make your way down there, you see Enfys and another elderly gentleman kind of with her. They're the ones kind of in charge. People are trying to. They're the only 2 boats really that are going to be participating in the search. You do see the merchant off to one side, kind of looking at them. He approaches Falmir. And he says, "May I have a word with you, Sir Falmir? In private, please." And you see Falmir kind of roll his eyes a little. Of course, Johan. And he signals the other people, "One moment, please." And he walks off a little distance to have.
Can I try to listen?
I was just going to say, can I sort of navigate myself so that I could perhaps just get...
You would not be with them unless you plan on going to the West Bank.
Oh, not going to the West Bank.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I don't want to get closer necessarily, but I do want to attempt to listen.
All right, go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay.
I'll listen as well.
Yeah, you both can. It'll be with disadvantage because of the noise at the docks right now and the fact that they are trying to be quiet.
Okay. Disadvantage.
Wow. All right. Moonstalker. You catch fragments of the conversation. You hear the merchant named Johan saying, "I understand. Great tragedy befell Westhaven last night with the death of that poor child. But I have a business to run, and as long as you have fishermen deviated from their daily quotas to participate in this search, and my docks being taken up by your knights, I'm losing money. Will the Queen be compensating me for that?" And Falmir, you can just see him just kind of rolling his tongue in his mouth, just trying to bite it. But he says, back in a very cool, even tone, says, I will speak to the queen of your petition. And that's all he says. And he returns. And when
investigate this merchant.
And when he returns, you can see he's in a bit of a sour mood, but then he kind of quickly shakes it off. It's just okay. Are you Enfys and Agra will accompany you? Which boat would you like to be in?
I will take Egray's boat.
Okay, can we both be on the same boat, or do we split? Do we have to be split?
No, you don't have to be split. You can be on the same boat.
Okay, I'll go on the same boat with Windstalker.
Okay, you're on Egray's boat, and 2 knights get onto Enfys's boat, and you push off, and you start. The sails go up. Again, it's a light drizzle, kind of depressing kind of day, but you start tacking upstream in a light breeze.
So this is a small boat then, I'm assuming?
Yeah, considering that this is the boat you were told by Saruman you should be taking north, it's going to be a cramped trip for 6 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we get away from the other boat a little bit, so that they're not necessarily hearing what I'm saying, say, hey Gray, I am Moonstalker. Wait to see if there's any recognition from him.
Yeah, when you mention the word Moonstalker, he says, "Oh, you're the one then. We'll be sailing as soon as you're ready."
Hi. Do you have a map to the isle, or do you have to go to show us?
Oh, I don't need a map. It's all up in here. Mine's like a steel trap.
Very well. Are there any larger boats available in town that we could take?
Why? What's wrong with my misty waves?
It's a bit small for the 6 companions. There's 6 of us all together.
Well, excuse me, high and mighty lord, that I don't have a vessel adequate enough to meet your royal needs. This is a fishing vessel.
Very well. No offense meant.
He just kind of waves a hand. No offense taken. Come, we have a child's murderer to find now.
Yes, we do. And I'll get my bow out and have an arrow ready.
All right. You can see he's pulling up the sails, and for somebody of his advanced years, he moves quite well on this boat. Like he and this boat are like one. This has been his life. Go ahead and make either an insight or perception check, both of you that are on a boat with Agra.
Quick question. Moonstalker, did you hang on to the poisoned arrow?
Yes, I did. Unless somebody took it from me.
Which one are you going to do? Are you going to do perception or insight? Because they're both the same for me, so I can
Perception.
do... Okay.
My insight's a 0. My perception's a 4, so...
I'll do insight just to see if we get different information.
I didn't succeed anyway.
And this is a magical success because I am proficient in it.
21 is a much more magical success than 14 was.
Eucalio, You can see, although this man is pretty gruff and very, very plain spoken, and he had that little spat with Moonstalker about the luxuries of his fishing boat or lack thereof. He keeps looking back at Moonstalker. He's just kind of casting him the odd look here and there, but it's not a look of disdain or anger. It's a different look. There's something behind his eyes. There's something there that it's almost as if he's looking to Moonstalker for hope.
Okay, like a little bit of reverence,
Not reverence.
but just
There's no
like
reverence.
hoping for like hopefully this person is the one who's going to make the future different.
Yeah, there's something there. You can tell, like any given day, this man and Moonstalker, they're gonna butt heads.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that he's looking at Moonstalker, hoping that Moonstalker might change things.
Gotcha.
Somehow.
Yep. Well, at least that is a relief to know that it's like, okay, he doesn't actually hate us or resent us or anything.
You just get the feeling that he hates everybody.
Yeah.
So. All right, so you guys are going upstream on the boat. The rest of you are going by foot. Those of you who are going by foot, can you please make a hunting check for me, please?
This is same as hunting for me.
Yep. All right, so you guys are trudging along the shores of the Grey Flood, and given the steady drizzle that you guys are walking through, you feel like this cold, wet weather is kind of soaked past your cloaks and just kind of, it's not comfortable at all. And the shore is muddy and your feet are sinking like almost halfway up your shins in mud in certain places. It is awful going slow. And despite your friends being on a boat and having to tack their way upstream, they still seem to be moving faster than you by a long shot.
Is the father of the boy with us in our party?
No, they have told him to stay in West Haven. So Falmir is with you, though. And as you guys are walking, Falmir kind of pulls up beside you to have a conversation with you, Turk. Just let me find him. This time he's in his full armor. And you can see it's weighing on him as he's trying to move through mud and rain.
He's sinking a little deeper than I am.
Yeah. But there is no sign of fatigue on him. He's determined. He's not complaining. And he turns to you, Turk, and says, glad to have you by my side. I know you don't trust me still. And
what could I have given you reason to say that?
I don't know. It's just there's still a coldness. I don't think you've accepted me as your father. Honestly, perhaps I don't deserve that title. But nevertheless, I'm proud of you, if that means anything. And I am glad to have you by my side, even in these dire circumstances. To be walking side by side with my son in the service of a queen and needs greater than either of us.
Yes. Regarding Queen Nimue, did you actually witness her killing the sea beast?
You haven't heard the story then?
I have not heard the story.
Oh, it's a tale. It's a tale everyone in this town could tell you by heart. Is what, only 2-3 years ago now, how time flies. But our town was being plagued by a sea monster, sinking vessels, stealing our catches, threatening the fisher folk, drowning them. It was at the point where folk were not willing to go out into the waters. They would rather starve to death than face what was out there. The council at that time was inept, caught in a quagmire of bureaucracy and fear and stubbornness and pride. So nothing, the people had no one to look up to, no hope. Then came along Nimue. She, the daughter of one of the fisher folk who, her father was killed by this creature. She saw the suffering of her community and took it upon herself to fix it, to do something when no one else would. Most folk here thought she was mad, that she was throwing herself at the sea to be a sacrifice for, perhaps to appease the monster in some way. Some say that Mithrandir helped her in this endeavor, for he was with her the day she went out to sea, alone, in a boat. He gave her counsel. What counsel that was, nobody knows. But perhaps it was simply words of encouragement or bravery that she needed to hear. For she went out there alone in the darkest of storms to face this creature alone. How a young girl could face such a creature on her own, nobody knows. And after a day passed, 2 days, 3 days, everyone thought, oh, she was gone. Given to the sea, the monster swallowed her whole, for there was no sign of her until the evening of the 3rd day, when a few of the fisher folk had found her washed ashore, barely alive. But beside her was the head of the serpent that plagued our town. She does not speak of what happened in the water in those days. But nobody in town here doubts that if it was her bravery and her deeds that saved us all. And it was on that day that we dissolved the council and installed her as queen.
Why queen rather than something less royal? I mean,
she deserved nothing less. In the sight and minds and hearts of all the people of Blondaire and West Haven, she's nothing less than a queen. And
so
if it's under
some kind of divine action, then the people believe in.
Perhaps. But it has been under her rule for the past several years that the town has flourished. Queen's Hall has been constructed. People have hope once more. And he pauses for a moment. It says, "You travel with a Dunedain."
For the last little bit, yes. And with Mithrandir.
Well, I understand that your friend Moonstalker has been identified as the heir to Arnor. But there are many people here, and I must include, I count myself as one of them, that will not bend a knee to a new king of Arnor. Our loyalty is with Queen Nimue, and always will be.
And Queen Nimue is a maiden?
She is.
Then who knows what the future holds in store?
Truer words indeed. And just look at me.
And look at me. I was a gong farmer. Did you know that? That I had to do that? To make my way through this world?
This is nothing to be ashamed of. It is honest work. It's more than I can say for myself. I didn't tell you why I had to leave Bree.
Did it have something to do with Matthew Mugwort?
He pauses, stops dead in his tracks when you say that name. Raises an eyebrow. Oh, you smit that scoundrel then. He's still kicking about, is he?
Apparently so.
Well, he's the reason why I had to leave. He and his schemes of thieving and banditry. Always chasing after treasure ill-gotten or... There was a murder in Bree when I had to leave. Mugwort and his gang, myself included, were implicated in that crime, although I had nothing to do with it. Mugwort laid the blame squarely upon me. I had no choice but to flee. So you might have been a gong farmer. But apparently I am an accused murderer and thief and bandit.
Turk looks over at Zurich. Do you know anything about that story?
Do I?
Make an old lore check. Yeah. So this would be just about the time when you arrived in Bree. It happened just before you arrived, perhaps. There was Bree, the town was up in arms over what sounded like a bunch of grave robbers that were discovered. And one of the so-called grave robbers turned up dead. It just so happened that that individual who was murdered was the son of, at that time, the mayor of Bree. So it was a big deal. So they were after some treasure. Apparently there was some fighting, no honor among thieves and all that. One of the thieves got killed. Mayor's son, Valamir, was accused, so he fled.
I will nod to Turk when he asks. Yeah, I'm a few steps behind them. So if he turns around to ask if this is true, I will nod. Yeah, I do remember it.
I myself have been just a few steps ahead of the law at times, though certainly have not, if it matters to you, murdered anyone.
You have a good soul, and you travel with men and women of honor. I would trust that any one you needed to strike down was a servant of the enemy. I would be.
I'm sorry. Often we find that it's not quite black and white.
It never is. Even in West Haven, although many of us would lay down our lives gladly for Queen Nimue, there are others who are unhappy with her rule and work actively against her. There is no utopia. Perhaps, and this is just a far off thought, and perhaps you might consider staying. Become a knight in the court of Queen Nimue.
Perhaps sometime in the future, but right now much is going on with the enemy, and you know of whom I speak. And like my cousin and these fine people in our fellowship, we're all swept up in it, and we bear some part in it, I think, that we may make a difference. So maybe after some of that is over, I can return here and get to know my father a bit better.
At the mention of that word, you can see him smile. Doesn't respond right away, but he does say after a little while, he says, I would like that very much. Oh, and it's just like an afterthought comes to his mind. Before I forget, he turns to you, Zurich, and says, we received word from a courier from Harmelt late in the evening last night. It would seem there has been some hardship amongst your kin as of late. I do not know much more than that aside from the fact that blood has been shed. Whose and in what manner I do not know, but that was the explanation given to me as to why we have not received any trade with them in the last several moons. But I do not know what you might do with that information, but I felt you should know this.
Jarek will nod, say nothing else.
Very good. And he turns his attention back to scanning the mud and the shore for any kind of sign of footprints or struggle or anything.
Maybe Falmir can roll higher than 4.
Back on the boat with Agra. So Agra himself, he's busy sailing the boat. He doesn't really have time to look or look or search anything. How do the two of you want to search? Or do you want to be just dropped off in the West Bank, or do you want to be staying in the river? What do you want to do?
As we get over there, get dropped off. I can't track from the boat.
I guess as we're heading over, I will be like looking along the bank just to see if I can see stuff or anything Well, they said the river is quick, so there shouldn't be anything still in the river, like floating in the river that would be useful to us. So I'm going to, as we're approaching the other bank, I'm just gonna look at the bank to see if I can spot anything.
Now, did you want to go straight to the ruins or north of the ruins of Londare?
I feel like we should go north and just work our way back.
Back south. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll watch the shoreline as we're going north.
Okay. So you guys go upstream for several miles, and Egger says, "There's no way the boy went this far north. So I'll drop you off here, and I'll sail alongside you as you make your way back south, and I'll pick you up before you hit those ghost-ridden ruins."
Very well.
All right.
All right. So he drops you off about 3 miles upstream, and I'll need you both to make hunting checks for me, Chris.
Okay. What's I'm trying to see. So I can hang on, let me double check because I can do bonus action help action. So I think can be used only to make intelligence or wisdom. What's hunting? Wisdom. Okay. So I will give Moonstalker advantage with my help action while doing my own roll.
Okay.
And you said it was hunting or what?
Oops.
Just hunting.
Just hunting. Okay.
I'll roll second roll. I forgot to click advantage.
Okay.
So 22. Wow, crit. Nice roll.
Wow. All right. So this is interesting. So you guys get off the boat, and this is the only place really for several 100 feet where it would make sense for anyone to come to shore. Okay. The other places are either too rocky or too shallow that you can't bring a boat in close enough to shore. And almost immediately after you get onto shore in this one spot, you see a number of footprints.
They look like human footprints, like booted prints.
They do look like the footprints of men.
Which direction are they coming and going?
They seem to have come from and returned to the west. They're going inland.
Okay.
And from that natural 20, you gather there were at least 4 of them.
So they came to the river and then returned further inland.
It looks like they also went up and down the bank a fair ways, as if they were looking for something.
Gotcha. And none of we don't see any. Well, the boy wouldn't have been on this bank, I don't think. So this is probably the people that attacked.
Looking at the prints, do any of them look like someone taking a bow shot? Because you're going to have a heavier footprint on the back foot than the front foot when you're shooting your bow.
I'll say with that natural 20 and that dirty 22, yes.
Okay.
In fact, at least a couple of them were archers.
Okay.
We might need to follow these footprints then.
Where's the other boat with the soldiers?
They're still in their boat. They're kind of going a little bit up the river, but they're
I'm
not that far.
waving them down.
Yeah, wave them towards
Hey!
All right. They turn the boat around. They come sailing back to you, and a few minutes later, they're within conversation distance.
Mhm.
And we'll wave our and the boat all the way up to the shore.
Okay.
And we'll just let them know that we found tracks from at least 4 individuals coming from the west that were going up and down the bank here, and it looks like at least a few of them were archers, but they returned to the west, and so we wanted to go follow the tracks to the west to see if we can hunt them down.
And I'm gonna. It says that you two come with us. Go. Let Falmir know to bring his party opposite of the shore to search, and then to bring them across.
Yeah, to see if they find any clues on that end around when it happened.
Okay.
Or where it happened, rather.
All right, so it'll take a little while, maybe half an hour to an hour before Falmir's group reaches this point on the opposite shore. In the meantime, do you guys strike out to follow the tracks?
Yes.
Yeah.
And take the 2 knights with us.
All right. So you guys head further inland, and you notice that the tracks curve. It was going straight inland, away from the river, almost perpendicular to it. But then it starts to curve south, as if they're trying to go around the ruins of Londair
Gotcha.
towards the shore. You will also notice at this point, running in the opposite direction, you kind of the paths have kind of crossed the footsteps of the young boy.
So he was on this side.
So he was running to the river.
Correct.
And they were following him.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, then he was probably down at the shore, spotted this ship, and came running back to get help, and they chased him down.
But he was on the bank of the ruins, not on the bank of the habitation.
Exactly. So he was running back this way to get across, which means there had to have been a boat or something that he was going to hop in to get across.
He was somehow involved, and his father also knows. Father
So
must know.
Go ahead. The two of you that are on that bank, go ahead and make an intuition check or investigation.
Oh, okay.
Insight or invest? Yeah, investigation probably is better.
Investigation? Okay.
Yeah.
I can give you assistance on that as well, because I'm proficient with it.
Okay.
Or it's not that because I'm proficient with it, it's because it's an intelligence check.
Gotcha. 17. And a crit. Yeah.
Okay. So you're able to intuit and reason that the fact that there are only footsteps from the boy running towards the river, and you haven't found any from the river going in the opposite direction for the boy, that the boy likely started out on a fishing boat off the shore, came inland from that point, south, came north, and tried to go around the ruins to the river, and then back to Londair that way.
Mm-hmm. He just didn't.
For whatever reason, he couldn't take the boat back to Londair along the coast.
So there should still be a boat along the south shore or something. Or not south. Yes, along the south shore.
Well, unless he had his boat tied up in the reeds or something and it got loose and drifted downstream, which could be out to sea by now.
Yeah,
or
true.
somebody was very good at covering up.
But yes, that does make sense that like his actual original location was not on the river. It was south along the coast. And his fleeing, circling around the ruins led him upriver, and then he was shot, fell in the water, and then began to drift downriver, which is when people found him. Yep. Okay.
So you know this kid had to run at least 5, 6, maybe even more miles from the
Sure.
shore
He was
to
running
get to
for
the
a long
riverbank.
time.
Yeah. So this kid was in a desperate state.
Yeah. And they chased him the whole way, which means that they didn't want anyone finding out what he saw.
He was probably trying to search the ruins for loot, ran into these guys, and ran when he saw them. That would be my guess.
I can't imagine because they all think that the ruins are haunted. Why would a child go alone and wander around in the ruin?
10 years old.
Well, maybe his father has done it in the past and has sent him to do it now.
Or somebody double dared him.
I still think he probably was along the south coast. But yes,
How much do you want to continue following all the way to the end?
Yeah,
I
well,
think
I'm gonna scout ahead of
yeah.
everybody because I can scout and stealth, and because this is my warded land now, so I can move at full speed, stealth. So
Would it be faster by water to get to where we think his original location might have been, like all the way around the ruins and down on the south shore?
That would be a tough call because if you think of it like a triangle, you would only have to go along one edge. But whereas if you wanted to go by water, you'd have to go along
Yeah.
two edges.
And it's just the question of like, is the boat faster than our movement? Yeah. Yeah, no, I will stick with Moonstalker on land.
Okay.
the 2 nights I'm leaving with her, as I go
Yeah,
ahead.
because he's scouting ahead.
Okay. I'm going to move back to the other bank then. You guys get signaled that they found something on the far bank. And they're willing to ferry you across. You want to go?
I defer to Zurich.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking around. If I only see one set of footprints, did the boy ever make it to step on this bank, or was he floating halfway across?
You don't see any sign that he ever made it to this bank.
Yeah. No, then I'll hop the skiff. I'll cross the river too.
Okay. Falmir will go with you, and the 2 nights, the 4 nights that are on foot as well. So between the 2 boats, you guys cross the river, and you'll be a little ways behind Eucaliel and the others. But Moonstalker, you're farther ahead. I'm going to make you roll another hunting check for me, please. And you get back to the...
1 second. I wouldn't have got up, but I thought you were done with me for a minute. Sorry.
No worries.
All right, another hunting check.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. $17.
The tracks are pretty easy to follow, given the wet weather and the mud and stuff. You can follow them, and they don't seem to be making much effort in covering their tracks. And you follow the tracks all the way to the shore, where you find where it looks like they pulled ashore in one boat, and you see kind of washed ashore slightly off, like onto the stony beach, and another small fishing vessel. Only 1 or 2 people, almost like a rowboat sized boat. It's kind of been washed ashore. The net's still kind of scattered about in it. And it's not too much long, just for the sake of convenience. As you're hunting around, you're looking for clues and whatnot.
Yep.
The others manage to catch up with you, and you're all standing on the shore. And you're looking out. Again, this day is gray, dreary. There's a light fog that's kind of rolling in from the sea. I need you each to make a perception check. Zurich, you're the first one to spot it. As you look out the sea, you see what looks to be a boat drifting through the fog. A dark shadow at first, you think it is, but then it becomes quite clear. Unmistakable sails of a Corsair ship, sailing roughly maybe half a mile offshore.
Half a mile. Wow. I'll draw attention to it and say, ahoy, midpoint.
Which direction does it seem to be going?
Seems to be anchored.
Oh, okay, just waiting.
Avast ye!
Well, that's the black ship that the boys saw. But if it's anchored and waiting, does that mean that they still have teams of people here ashore? Or preparing to come ashore? Because otherwise, why would they be waiting there?
It might be a good time to strike. If they're ashore, we could take over the boat.
That'd be a nice ship to travel in, even though that guy told us not to go by sea. It would be a nice ship to travel in. We'd need a crew, though, because the 6 of us aren't going to be able to.
We could hire the old man in the sea. He's already supposed to take us up.
Look at Palmir. This is your town. You're the first knight. What do you want to do?
He's looking at this thing, and you can see him calculating. He says, we're a fishing village. We have no warships. We have a dozen ill-equipped militia. I dare not call them knights.
You have us as well.
There's morning fog. We could get close, maybe, without easily being seen.
Wait for the cover of night and sneak with small fishing boats.
That ship, it's huge. It can easily carry a crew of 20 people or more. Oh,
True.
surely be outnumbered.
Unless they're not all on the ship right now. The question is, why would they be waiting here?
Yeah, what do they want from this little town?
What's that, Zurich?
What do they want from your little fishing village?
I don't know.
Are they
But we sit at the
plundering
mouth.
ruins?
We sit at the mouth of the Grey Flood, which strikes deep into the heart of Eriador.
But they can't sail their ship up the river.
Not a ship that size, no. You'd have to row it up.
Do I
Yeah.
know any rangers in this area?
Ah,
Yes, actually, this region is regularly protected by rangers.
Do I know where I could find them or try to find them?
There would be cache. Since this is one of your favorite lands, you would know where those caches are. Yeah, where you can leave a message or whatever. Yeah. One of them is at a place called. Just let me double check what the name is. I want to get this right. Okay, this one here.
that's impressive. This campaign has that level of detail where
There's actually, if they were smart, the Middle Earth role playing game actually had the villages and stuff mapped out through most of Eriador. If they were smart, they
Wormhill.
probably looked at that.
Wormhill is the closest. Wormhill is the closest cache.
And where's that?
From where you are, it's probably 2 to 3 days inland.
Ooh,
Like
too long.
north or west?
It would be probably north and a little west.
Does the queen have any horses, Falmir?
She does.
I hate doing this to you guys, but I think I should go by myself to the cache by horseback to increase the speed. And you guys could help defend the town if it's attacked in the meantime. What do you think?
I don't think this ship. Well, it's just a hunch. I don't think this ship is here to attack the town. They're here doing some other nefarious activities, and that's why the boy was murdered, to hide whatever they're doing. So they're not here to be offensive. That's again just a hunch.
No, that's plausible. If they wanted to plunder the town, they would have.
Maybe they're scouting it out because they've heard there's a queen and knights now.
Falmir speaks up and says, "If I know my queen, she'll want to parley with them
Parlay.
to find out what they want. If they truly are responsible for the murder of Harp, the young fisher boy, she will demand justice from them." We have no solid evidence that these individuals, despite how ominous they may seem, are responsible for the death of that boy.
I pull the arrow out of my quiver. If they have these arrows, you do. And I hand him the arrow.
Carefully.
True enough. True enough. This will be a quiver in the arrows and a queen in the queen's arsenal. So, an arrow in the queen's quiver.
And I think I should
messed
go
that
try
up.
to get reinforcements just in case, personally.
Oh, no doubt it would be wonderful, but that's wow, that's how many days there and how many days back?
By horseback, it should be a 2 to 3 days trip. If it's 2 to 3 days by foot, it should be 2 to 3 there. It should be 2 to 3 days round trip by horse. Can you hold the queen off a couple of days, Falmir?
I shall try. But if there is another death or attack on citizens of West Haven, we must act. Can all of you make another perception check for me, please? Moonstalker. As you guys are standing on the shore, looking out at this ship, it is quite far, and it drifts in and out of banks of fog. You catch the distinctive glint of light reflecting off glass. They have seen you.
We need to get back to the other shore.
Yeah, I agree now. Yeah, now that we know that, yes. Marshal
Yes.
our troops.
All right, so you hightail it back.
I'm gonna take the little boat that's right here back across. How close is it to the ruins right now?
Okay, so keep in mind you are on the shores of the sea now, not on the river.
Okay,
You kind of went inland from the river and then turned south to the shore of the sea.
got you.
So if you take the boat, you have to take it along the coast and back up.
So they could maybe potentially run us down if they have faster ship.
As you guys are just sitting there deciding this, you guys can clearly hear voices and ropes being pulled and splashing in the water. As you know, boats are being lowered into the water now.
All right. Well, I guess we have to head back on foot then to the other. Well, the other boats. Did they come alongside the ruins down here to meet us or not?
I know
Gray and the other one.
No, they did not understand that they were going to come out to the coast. No.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Well, hoof it back up north then.
All right. Are you guys?
Actually,
Are we getting back in the boats, or are we just retreating to the ruins?
well, we got to get back. No, the boat. We can't get in the boats. The boats are north of the ruins. We're on the south side.
Not the child's boat.
The child's
Child's
boat's only
boat's
going to
on
hold
shore.
1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
And you have to take it out to sea. He said we had to go to sea with it to get back. So we're not taking the child boat. But
Can we use that as a distraction? Can we somehow? I don't know. I was thinking, put a dummy in it and push it out. Maybe they'll follow it.
sure, we'll throw Turok in the boat and push it out to sea.
Thanks. I'll remember that.
So you guys started here. This is West Haven, Queens Hall, Londair in this hex. So you guys are all like typically in this hex. You guys maybe went up a little stream, upstream a bit, 3-4 miles in the same hex. Cut across here, and then south to about here. That's where you are now.
Where the river widens, the mouth of the river there.
Yeah.
So
and the boat
it's
is
gonna be
sitting right there.
It'll be a lot quicker for us to go through the ruins than to go back around it. Correct.
Yeah.
So I'll look at Valmir and his men, Jurek, and Lady Merlin, and say, "Still your nerves. We're gonna go straight north to get back to the boats."
Just a tactical suggestion, which I'm sure you've thought of. The ruins may be our best defense.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, we'll run back north through the ruins, and if we don't think we can make it back across the river, then we'll use the ruins.
Yep.
If we think we can make it back across the river, we need to get back across the river to where the queen and her other knights are. I mean, we're a force divided. Militia or not, they're still fighting men and women. So even if they're not trained, they're still better than a regular peasant. They do have weapons and armor, some of them. So, but we're a force divided currently as well. We're on this side of the river. They're on that side of the river. So I think we need to try to get back on to that side of the river if possible. So we will head north, straight north through the ruins, close to the river.
Sort of fight a delaying action.
You see the just to give you guys a heads up, it is probably early to mid afternoon, like 2 p.m. ish by this time. By the time you get up to the ruins, it'll probably be closer to 3 or 4. Just so you guys know, you guys would have maybe 3 hours before it gets dark to get out of the ruins before things get really bad.
And,
Well,
and you Khalil has sent her raven off.
Yeah.
if we're just going straight north through the ruins and aren't tearing, that should be no problem time wise, right? It should take more than an hour to get through the ruins, right?
All right. So I'm gonna have you, since you are the ranger of Minhiria, and this is your favorite land. Go ahead and make a travel check with advantage, just to see if you can guide the fellowship
Sorry.
through this place without difficulty.
Yeah. All right. So travel. Stop. Jumping map. $15.
All right, so 15. That's good enough. You find the quickest path due north, heading straight for the ruins of Londair. Looking over your shoulder, glancing over your shoulder every now and then, because you are pretty close to the shore still, and you can kind of see, you can distinctly see 3 boats have been launched from the black ship coming to shore.
How big are the boats?
They're quite large. Each boat could probably hold 4 to 6 people. Rowboats.
Okay.
Um,
Did you hear what we're doing, Lady Merlin? Okay.
All right. One thing that you guys all hear distinctively across the water as you guys leave the shore and head north is the crack of a whip and the deep voice of somebody giving orders aboard that ship.
They definitely want to parlay.
Yeah. Yeah. They're coming to parlay with 3 boats full of men. Uh-huh.
Yep.
You know what they're going. I'm going to just throw this out there. If it's not obvious, they're going to head us off. They're faster on the river. They're cracking the whip, and they're going to have men upriver as well as behind us.
Okay, Mr. Negative Nancy.
We also don't really have, like, I don't see a way that we could truly get ahead of them, though.
Well, they're half a mile out to sea. You guys are forgetting that part of it. They
True.
have to cross
True.
that half mile of open sea into a river against this tide.
Against
I
the
mean,
current, yeah.
the current. Well, I mean, tide as well, because
True.
they're at sea. They got to, trying to bring a boat from a ship at sea is not an easy task.
But the tide could be carrying them upriver at this point. It depends on if the tide is ebbing or flowing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to the DM.
So you guys are not that far from the ruins. You guys, and given the fact that you guys have at least half a mile head start on them, despite the tide or whatever, you guys will be able to reach the outskirts of the ruins before they can reach you or cut you off even.
Yeah.
How long you decide to spend in the ruins, or whatever, could be a factor in determining whether they are able to cut off any water escape for you guys from to cross the river. But
I'm not
let's
planning
get you
on
to the
spending
ruins
any
first.
time. Yeah, I'm not planning on spending time in the ruins right now. So
Gotcha.
I'd like to, but we just can't.
But there's that gorgeous sword sitting out in the middle of.
All right, so you guys run north, and with Moonstalker's expert guidance, you guys manage to find the fastest route there without much trouble. You do see some of the knights of West Haven casting each other kind of worried looks. They don't like the idea of going to the ruins of Londair. You might be new here, but they grew up from childhood hearing all the ghost stories and the terrors that lived there. So to be going there, it's kind of like they feel like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place with these pirates or whoever they are in this black ship that murdered a young boy a very real threat coming up behind you, and just straight up fear of a place ahead of them.
Yeah.
But they follow Falamir's lead, and Falamir takes your counsel, so you guys are heading north.
I do have an idea.
Once we're in the ruins, or
When we're in the ruins, we stay on the outskirts, but in the ruins. And when the boats appear, I shoot arrows at them to get them to come ashore in the ruins.
then we try to
And then we get out of the ruins.
Draw
and
them in
hopefully
while we
draw
get
them
out.
into the ruins. And hopefully the denizens of the ruins will deal with them.
Good plan.
Yeah. Maybe we can even lure them in, and while they're lured in, we could sneak around and grab their boats. And
Well, I was thinking we should have Falmir and his knights head back, and just the four of us stay on this side of the river.
yeah.
That way they can go protect the queen in the village in
Mhm.
case they don't take the bait. Because if they don't take the bait, now we're on this side of the river, and there's nothing we can do if they land on the other side of the river.
True.
What you asked Falamir to do?
I'm discussing this as we're traveling, so Falmir can give me his input to see if he thinks that that's a good idea or if he thinks we should all go across the river. I mean, he is the first knight. I'll leave it up to him. This is their town. We're just travelers.
You can tell that he is torn. He wants to stay and fight by his son's side, more than anything. But his first duty is to the queen and the town and the folk of West Haven. So, given that, that's his oath. That's what he has to fulfill.
Well, I mean, does he think we should go back with them, or does he think my plan's a good plan?
He says, whatever, you do not fall under his command. You are guests. You are doing this out of the goodness of your heart. He will not compel you to do one thing or another.
All right, you guys give input.
My biggest concern is if we do choose to stay on this side, like, I feel like luring them into the ruins, good idea. If they do go into the ruins, I think that we should go across the river and regroup with everyone else. Because the problem is, if we stay, they're still going to outnumber us. And we're going to get... we'll have cover and stuff, but our potential to get easily taken out is still there.
I don't know if you recall the look I gave you from the tower lady, but the rumors about this place are true.
I believe that, but
I saw things that were walking of the shadow.
that means we're even more outnumbered. They're not our friends any more than they are these people's friends.
I don't want to stay and fight them in the ruins. I want us to, as they come in, we will exit the ruins.
Leave.
To
Right.
the other side. I don't know how we're gonna get back across the river though, unless we can
Take
try to
their
steal one of
boats.
their boats. I mean,
Yeah.
if we
If
can
they
do
all
that.
leave the boats, take their boat across. That means
Worth-
it's that much harder for them to get to us. That's my vote. Is I like the idea of luring them into the ruins. Once they go in, take the boats. If the lure doesn't work,
we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
yes.
Right. And if they leave someone at the boat, at least they're split.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And whatever the ruins can do to thin their herd would ultimately, even if they do follow us across
Yeah.
the river,
So
whatever is
any
left
of us
behind
that
in the
does
ruins.
have ranged weapons, we should work on once we get into the ruins and we see them trying to shoot at them to lure them in.
If they leave somebody behind to protect the boat, Zerk will take care of them.
Can you start a fire quickly with scholarly works?
You mean you want me to burn some of my papers?
No. I, out of character, I'm saying, can you start a fire magically?
No.
Okay.
I
Well,
cannot.
I don't know what the limitations are, so that's why I'm asking. Because I think what we should do is take one of their boats. The plan will be ideally take one of their boats and either burn the other two or cut them loose and let them drift down the river
Yeah.
back out to sea.
Yeah.
But it would be better to burn them so that they can't use them to get from their ship to shore again. Because if they drift out to sea, they could easily come into reach of the boat, or they could recover them with their ship. So
You don't have to burn them. You just need somebody with an axe or a big
Yeah,
hammer to
sink
punch a
'em.
hole in the bottom.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just
Yeah,
tape the
let Dirk
tape
handle
the-
that.
Yeah, these boats will not be like, too hard to hold.
all right, so let's hide Zurich and Turek by the shore.
Yep.
And then you and me will be in the ruins to draw them in.
Mhm.
We'll hide you. You
And
guys need
send
to
the
go
rest of the
hide.
knights back.
Send the knights back. You guys need to hide in the reeds or whatever north of the ruins, and then sneak back to their boats.
Good plan.
Mhm.
So it is now low tide here. And the tides I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Bay of Fundy, but they're quite large. Maybe not 18 feet large, but like a good 10-foot tide around here. And the tide is coming in. The problem is most of the ruins of Londair are below water at high
When the
tide.
tide is in, yeah.
And they're only exposed at low tide. There is one part of the ruins, and you could see it in the picture before, that is always above the water, even at high tide. And that is called the Sea Tower.
Mhm.
It was once the mighty tower of Tarasyava, guarded the entrance to the haven. It was a fortress, and that's if you want to avoid being caught in the water coming in with the tide, that's the place you would want to hide. Otherwise, if you guys want to hide in the lower ruins, that's okay too. Just let me know which way you want to go.
The only problem is if we go all the way up to the high tide area, the odds of us coming up against the current denizens is much higher. But it would be a nice vantage point. I don't know. Moonstalker, what do you think? Since it's just going to be the two of us going in there.
Just one thing to keep in mind, what we need to establish as well is where we're going to pick you up in boats.
Yeah.
Is that we have
Well, we don't know where they're going to stop the boats. Like, we're going to try to get them to stop the boats and come offshore. And wherever they stop the boats is where we're going to go get on the boats.
So somebody
I don't think we have a choice that if we want to do this plan. So
Yeah.
if we're doing this plan, we have to go to the tower.
Yeah,
We don't
because
have
by
a
the
choice.
time the boats get here, the tide will be much higher. Yeah.
So who
Okay.
has a good taunt?
My bow.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Nah, we'll just
We see my bow. My bow's got. I've got a great bow, so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, you've got artillery.
600.
You've got artillery.
Yeah, what's the distance on my bow?
Mine's 6 something.
So the boats being sailed by Agra and what's her name? Enfys. They were waiting for you guys at the north end of the ruins because they thought you guys were going to come out the same way you guys went in.
Yeah.
Just north of the ruins. But they can. You guys are coming on shore. The Falmir and the knights are kind of signaling to them to be picked up. So they'll rush down to meet them. With the tide coming in, the boats coming from the ship have started to gain ground on you, and they're clearly visible by this point. Probably only several hundred feet away now. And you can clearly see each boat holds 6 people.
And how many boats?
18 people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Falmir and them have not made it back across the river yet. That's what you're saying.
They just got picked up. The boats of Enfys and Agra have come to pick them up from the ruins. They're boarding, but the other boats are just a few hundred feet away now.
The lead boat, are they following or are they abreast? How are they coming?
They are rowing. They are
No.
rowing.
Are they abreast of each other? 1, 2, 3, or are they in line 1, 2, 3?
They kind of point like an arrow, one in front.
So the lead boat, I'm going to shoot from the shore. I'm just get up on a wall, whatever, as we're making our way to the tower. Me and Eucaliel are making our way to the tower. I'm going to get up on a wall where they can see me, and I'm going to shoot my bow at the lead boat. Is there anybody like standing up front or somebody at the whip, cracking a whip?
There sure is. Let me,
and we definitely want as many boats to stop as possible. So maybe I should shoot at one of the other boats.
If it's in range for you, why not? Go for it.
Yes, our bow range is 320.
Yes, 320 is the max.
My axe range is 5.
Yeah. That's the max. Like 80 to 320 is at disadvantage, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't it? The max range? Yeah.
Yeah, mine's 150 to 600.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will do that. I will do a because I don't really care if I hit them as long as I get close enough that they notice.
No, I'll throw some arrows up as well. Until we go and hide.
Yeah,
because you guys are already going to hide. Where you are. You're already going to hide. If you start shooting, they're going to be paying attention to where you go.
Yeah,
you guys need to go hide.
They're going to say 3 bowmen instead of 2.
Yeah. You guys need to go hide.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you see in the lead boat, one person manning the till, 4 soldiers rowing hard, and at the prow is the biggest orc you have ever seen. This thing could be mistaken for a giant or an ogre.
So that's an advantage then instead of disadvantage?
Yeah, I'm going to be attacking an orc. Yeah.
He has a huge broad-bladed sword at his waist, and he has a whip coiled up in one hand. And you hear him, even at this distance, his gruff voice issuing orders in black speech.
These guys
are rowing.
Don't speak it.
And does it look like men in these ships, or does it look like orcs?
The others look like men.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, do you want to take a shot?
Oh, yes, I absolutely do.
So yours would be straight, right? Because it's a disadvantage for distance, but advantage against the target. So that's just a straight roll.
I'm looking to see. Actually, it didn't really say on my sheet.
Don't jinx me. I don't want to fail. I'm already rolling a disadvantage.
Come on, Elfi.
All right, hang on.
I don't know. Does
I'm shooting the ship behind the main ship that is closest to our side.
Okay.
With disadvantage. I just hope they see the arrow.
It goes pew, and lands harmlessly in the water near the boat.
They know that we're shooting.
I like that. Pew!
Yeah.
Actually, I do get advantage, not because it's an orc, but because of my ambusher. I get any foe that's not taking a turn, I get advantage, so it will be a straight up roll then. Correct?
Okay. Yep.
Why did it do that? I did not tell it to do that, so.
No,
That's
the
a straight
second
roll.
number is your damage number.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's right.
Yeah.
I forget that.
Gosh,
I just
nat
missed
one.
terribly.
All right.
The arrow goes whizzing past this massive orc. He turns to you slowly, and you can clearly see, even at this distance, him laughing. And he pulls out his great broadsword, issues a command in black speech, and you can see the boat turning towards you.
All right,
No,
let's go back to running.
I'll yell in Orcish. Come, get your death, orc. I don't speak black speech, but I do speak orc.
Yeah.
All right. So his boat is heading towards you, but he ordered the other two boats to go after Anfis's and Ager's boats.
Damn it.
I want to at least get one of those other boats back in this direction.
I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to do that. He ordered them to go. They're not going to give a shit what we do.
Even if we start hitting them? Well,
An orc as big as a giant with a whip? Yeah, I don't think they're going to give a shit what we do.
We'll just have to kill them faster and take their boat.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
head up towards the tower.
Well, at this point, the thing is, though, like, we were going to get to the tower so that we could shoot from the tower and get their attention, but we already have their attention. We have to be close to the boats now.
Right. You get them into the ruins, too, to give chase.
True.
If we don't go up farther and shoot at them again,
Then they won't follow us. Yep.
there's no
Okay,
reason.
I will continue running. I will, jump down from the wall that we're on and keep heading towards the tower with
Try to stay in sight of the shore
Soccer.
if we can, so they can see us running up.
Yeah.
What are Zurich and Turk doing?
Hiding, but Zurich's getting pretty excited. He's going to get to
I was
chop some
going to say
more.
pretty much the same thing.
So you guys are hiding in the lower ruins?
Yeah,
Close
sort
to the shore?
of, kind of assessing the tide, trying to get into the right spot to be close to how far the tide has come in by the time their boat lands, if we can make an estimation of that.
All right. The ground here is treacherous at low tide, covered in silt and loose rocks. The footing here is not that stable. And you're looking around and you realize it'd be very easy to get trapped in a place that you cannot get out of when the tide comes in. So you have to be very careful as to where you position yourselves.
Oh, I was going to say I'm a river folk, so I would not have knowledge of tides and things upriver, but
And
at least I've got some river skill.
having picked up on that, Zurich would not risk it, so he would try to be safely ashore to not risk being on silty rocks. So the idea of being as close, further up into the ruins, yeah.
Okay. All right.
At least that's where Zurich is going to be. I'm walking around with heavy armor, so I'm not going to risk slipping on any rocks.
Okay. Did you guys want to make any more pot shots at the boat as they approach?
I will definitely make another pot shot as we're fleeing further up. I'm still going to try to get one of those other boats to turn to us. So I'm still going to attack the boat that I attacked the first time. With disadvantage. I've got disadvantage. I would need to roll 2 nat 20s for that to work. I'm good. I'm not
that good.
It could happen.
It does happen. I do have inspiration right now, but I'm not going to waste it on this. Again, just
Okay. And I'll
just want
shoot
him to know that I'm
at
still
the
here.
big orc again.
Okay.
19.
Woo!
A 19. Let me see this guy here.
That's when we know what his AC is.
This guy is wearing heavy mail, but it does pierce him. So go ahead and do 11 points of damage.
Yep.
All right, so this arrow just goes straight into his chest, and he doesn't flinch. In fact, he pulls the arrow out and licks it.
Like, oh no.
That's awesome.
Keep running.
And how many more? I'm just doing some quick calculations here to see how many shots you're able to get off before they get to you.
Well, I think the thing is they don't want them to get to them. It's a little too fine.
Pretty close, though.
Yeah, it's a little too fine.
We want them to get out of the boats is the important part.
So these guys are
now, yeah.
effectively dashing in this rowboat, so they can travel 70 feet around. So they start out 300 feet away. 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds. So you guys got 2 arrows. You have 2 rounds left.
Okay.
Before they reach the shore.
And when they're at the shore, how far away from us will they be?
Probably about 100 feet, so they'll have to spend another couple rounds.
Okay, so I will be rolling at disadvantage for the whole time. Okay.
Yeah, actually, the maximum range on your bow is what?
Mine is 320.
Okay, so you guys would be retreating up the ruins to keep that distance. All right.
Yeah.
Right,
I was expecting to see if at any point any of them would be within 80 feet, which would mean.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too, but I just wanted to make sure. So 2 more attacks. Okay. Hey, I'm slowly getting better. My aim is getting better.
Attack. Put in the attack. Oh, correct the wrong one. There we go. And a 23 for 10 on the big orc again.
Okay. Another arrow goes into its thigh.
I know.
He just lets out a loud growl. He's got sword in one hand and whip in the other, just yelling at the soldiers in the boat to row faster.
And then last one.
Ooh. All right.
Do I actually hit the second boat? Anyone on the second boat?
Anyone on the second boat? 16. Double check that.
Or the boat itself, even?
Yeah, you'll hit the boat. But, these guys are wearing pretty good armor.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay, I hit the boat. They know that I can hit the boat now.
That's 20.
Oh!
Nice.
10
points
damage.
Another 10 points damage.
Crappy
So you've done a total of 31 points of damage on this monster of an orc.
Hey, if
that is artillery.
Targets and try to take him down, maybe the rest of them will get scared and leave.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's too bad the damage roll sucked on a crit.
Yeah.
All right, so now they have reached the shore.
Mm-hmm. And
How
are we
far up?
at the tower by now?
Yeah, you guys would be at the tower, at the ruins of the tower. Zurich, Turk, how far from the shore would you guys be at this point?
I'll let Zurich decide that.
I'm
He
25,
has the heavy armor.
25 feet movement, dash action, so 49 feet away from the boat. I can dash to it.
Okay. This is all considered difficult terrain too.
Oh, then I
Ah.
am 25 feet away from the boat, so I can dash to it.
So
I don't know.
Away from the-
I don't know if it'll count for them since I'm not with them. But in my favorite territory, we don't take penalties for terrain.
Yeah, but this is unique terrain. It's not like you're in the wilderness. This is
Okay.
ruins
But
of
I just wanted to
Londare.
throw that out there. That's one
Okay.
of my benefits. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I should be able to dash. I want to be able to dash to the boat in one round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
dwarves are natural sprinters.
Right.
So I will say this: if you were 25 feet away from the shore, that would not have gotten you high enough away from the danger zone of tides.
Okay.
So you guys are still in the danger zone for tide activity if you guys stay there too long.
I can give you a helping hand if you slip.
Okay. All right. Let's stay
Yeah,
together.
because the ideal thing is that as soon as they get off the boats, you get on the boats.
Yeah, when they're more than one movement away, I can get to the boats, right?
Yeah.
And but they need to be pretty far up because you guys are going to circle back around, and then we got to be ready to push off from shore as soon as you guys jump in the
Yeah.
boats.
I need you guys to make stealth checks for me, please.
All right, I've been saving inspiration for this. Can I burn my inspiration?
Yeah.
Oh! We smoke pipe. We've got the
When?
pipe inspiration
When did you smoke?
with my
Fell-
dad.
fell-
Oh, with your dad, of
With
course.
my
yeah.
dad.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
All right. So I typically have disadvantage on stealth. I'm just going to roll straight on stealth.
But do you have that? Do you have that pipeweed trait as well?
I think he
I thought that
does.
was-
I'm
Yes.
proficient with pipeweed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yep.
So that means I've got a
Fuck.
boon
Advantage.
advantage.
Not good.
Oh yes, but Zurich is letting me down.
I tanked it.
Wait.
but
Do
you
we
said you
want
had
to?
inspiration, don't you?
Yeah, but I have disadvantage on stealth, so all it does is just give me a straight roll.
Do we want to
Well,
use
no,
a
but
fellowship point on that?
Oh yes, fellowship point.
No. Remember, Saruman's thing is different, right?
I thought that the
Oh,
basic usage of fellowship points was
Yeah.
rerolls. It's not.
Let me double check that.
I mean,
I could be
otherwise,
wrong.
how do we use them?
We use them
Let me
for the
double check.
special thing that Saruman can give us, which is the charisma rolls.
No, he just gives us. We can burn a fellowship point for a magical success
Yeah, the
on a
magical
charisma roll,
success.
but we
on
can
those.
still use fellowship points for regular stuff. I think.
Fellowship
I-
points players can spend 1 point of fellowship to gain advantage on a roll.
Oh, I see. So it's advantage before the roll, and we've never used it that way. Gotcha.
But we would have had we known that rule.
That's true.
He already had advantage.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to double the advantage. Yep.
All it does is take away my disadvantage.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
So they
Yeah,
spotted you, but they didn't spot me.
They
That's fair.
maybe didn't spot you.
They just have to check their.
Well, I mean, it's a
Perception.
2.
Yeah,
I mean, their passive perception is going to catch that.
yeah.
I just want to see if they catch Turk.
Turk. Yeah, that's what I was saying. They may or may not have spotted Turk.
All right. So they reach the shore. The massive orc draws his sword, cracks his whip, and starts charging up the hill towards Moonstalker. Totally ignoring the dwarf. He can see him as plain as day.
Yes,
Well, three arrows tend to do that.
I'm insulted.
But happy to be alive.
But that doesn't mean that just because he is doesn't mean all of them will.
Sure.
Yeah, so two of the soldiers are running up with him. So 3 are going for Moonstalker and Eucaliel. The other 3 are going for.
I'm still insulted. I can take 3.
I'll go for the boat then, while you handle the
Yeah,
3.
I actually think that's a great idea.
And we
And since
didn't
you're only
manage
20
to lure the other boat yet.
No, they're
Okay.
they're not deviating course. And that's where we'll end tonight.
Ah!
Yeah, it's 11.
Yeah. Cliffhanger.
Timing was perfect. Yeah.
As we will start off next session with the battle. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do with Goldie because she'll be back. We can just say that she was hiding with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would probably be best if she was hiding with
Turk.
Turk and Zurich because of movement distances and stuff. It would be
Yeah.
better.
And plus, yes, we're a pair.
Yeah.
We used to be a trio, but now we're a pair.
Yes.
All right. We'll pick it up then in 2 weeks when you guys fight
Combat.
Lug.
2 weeks.
Giant.
2 weeks. Ah.
All right. Thanks,
By
guys.
the way,
Good game, everybody.
Good session.
See you guys. Bye.
All right.
And
Hey, thanks, y'all.
my wife, we did the what the hell's that called? My brain, the stank party,
Which
Gen Con.
Gen Con. Okay, I was thinking
Stank
Gen Con.
party Wednesday night. The little get together they have, not the
Okay.
outside one, but the indoor one. She won
Okay.
actually. She won an event in there and got the Gen Con bag of holding, and also the Avatar starter box set and a bunch of other stuff as a prize first night.
That's cool.
cool.
Wow.
Awesome.
It's like a
That's awesome.
$225 bag.
Yeah. Very nice. Nicely done.
Don't put a Gen Con bag of holding within a Gen Con bag of holding.
Well, we actually did that already.
Oh no!
Because we had a plastic bag of holding we got from buying our merch at the stand.
Oh, geez.
Awesome.
Anyway, I didn't know if you ever went to the stank party or whatever.
No, I haven't.
You should go if you're going next time you go. They had it at the Union Hall across the street. And I think that's where they normally do it. So, but it's pretty cool. They give a bunch of people giving out free stuff, some of the vendors and hosts and stuff giving away things. But it's pretty cool.
I'll have to make it down there.
Yeah. Anyway, and we'll hold you guys up. I just thought you guys get a kick out of that. So,
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Have a good
definitely.
night.
all right. See you.
All right. Night, everybody. See
Good
y'all.
night. Good times.